Chapter 2054. If he accepted it, then Hidden House Han might very well become one of the hidden houses, just like Linny had said. After all, Han Xiaopa had some understanding of Lin Yi's past achievements. The common world's cultivation houses that were on good terms with Lin Yi were all doing very well. Those who were enemies with Lin Yi were either gone or struggling. So what if he had the hidden house's support? The common world house Yu was still destroyed, and the common world Xiao family and Kong family weren't doing too well either. This was all thanks to Lin Yi, who asked them to go against Lin Yi. However, Han Xiaopa wasn't the young master of Hidden House Han. There were some things that he couldn't decide, so he was in a difficult position. From his point of view, if Hidden House Han stood by Lin Yi's side, then it would be more beneficial than harmful. However, this was only his opinion. He wasn't sure how his grandfather saw it. However, there was only one chance. If he rejected it now, then Lin Yi wouldn't help Hidden House Han anymore in the future. After this Hidden House summit, their relationship would fade away. Senior Lin, Hidden House Han has a lot of cultivation materials and treasures, but I lack a master to guide me in my cultivation. Han Xiaopa made up his mind in an instant. Since he couldn't decide on the Hidden Han family's attitude, he could decide on his own. Hence, he immediately said, "If Senior Lin doesn't mind, please accept me as your disciple. Please guide me on the path of cultivation." Han Xiaopa's reaction was out of Lin Yi's expectation. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that Han Xiaopa would ask to be his disciple right away. Lin Yi really didn't know what to say. Seeing that Lin Yi didn't say anything, Han Xiaopa thought that Lin Yi wasn't satisfied with his attitude, but he could only smile bitterly and explain, "Senior Lin, although I'm a direct descendant of Hidden House Han, I can't make decisions in the Hidden House. I can't make the entire Hidden House listen to Senior Lin right now. However, I swear that one day, if I can become the head of Hidden House Han, I will follow Senior Lin's lead." Lin Yi nodded. "You want me to be your disciple?" "Yes. Hidden House Han has the support of ancient ruins, but I don't have a master to guide me on the path of cultivation. I'm completely blind." Han Xiaopa didn't hide anything. "Your disciple is only at the middle phase of the golden class right now. Your disciple knows that this level of strength isn't enough to catch Senior Lin's eye, but even this level of strength was forcefully increased by consuming the soul-gathering pill." Soul-gathering pill? Lin Yi had heard of this before. Most of the disciples of the hidden houses had used this to increase their strength. Yu Bing was the same. Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh. Even the weakest disciple of the hidden house had such a good thing to use. He, Lin Yi, had to train himself bit by bit to break through. You really can't compare yourself to others. Although he was already in Earth class, when he thought back to when he was a Golden class, how hard was it to break through to the Mystic class? But Mystic class was a common thing among the disciples of the hidden houses. Yes, in the ancient ruins, we found some soul-gathering pills and soul-gathering pills. The soul-gathering pills were all used by the elders, so they have the strength of Mystic class. As for us, the third-generation disciples, we only got the soul-gathering pills. I'm considered quite talented, using only 3 soul-gathering pills to reach the middle phase of the golden class. Han Xiaopa smiled bitterly. But there aren't many soul-gathering pills and soul-gathering pills left, and the hidden house you doesn't want to sell them to us. So, I'm worried about the future of cultivation. Never mind, I don't have plans to take in disciples at this age. But if you're willing, I can take you in as a follower. Lin Yi said, but your loyalty still needs to be tested. Thank you, Senior Lin. Han Xiaopa heard Lin Yi's words and quickly stood up. He cupped his fists. Boss, please accept this little brother's bow. With that, Han Xiaopa bowed respectfully to Lin Yi. You're a quick one, taking advantage of the situation. You stood up as soon as I finished speaking. Lin Yi smiled faintly and waved his hand. But anyone can say nice things. It depends on your performance in the future. I'm taking a follower not because of your personal strength, but because of your loyalty. Senior Lin. No, Boss Lin. I'm the most loyal. I promise to listen to your orders. Han Xiaopa quickly said. Since you're loyal, then I can give you strength. Lin Yi said, didn't you want to become my disciple to increase your strength? But my follower will receive the same treatment. I believe that your hidden Han family has already investigated my situation and knows about the situation of my brothers. You should have seen their strength in the past and present. I see. Han Xiaopa really did investigate the situation around Lin Yi. But the entire hidden house Han was very puzzled. How did Lin Yi's followers, including Lin Yi's woman, suddenly increase in strength? At first, many of them were early phase golden class masters. Now, they're at peak late phase mystic class. It was unbelievable. Of course, although they were puzzled, they couldn't figure out what was going on. It wasn't until Lin Yi said it that Han Xiaopa realized that it was all thanks to Lin Yi. Thinking that he could increase his strength, Han Xiaopa's heart was filled with joy. Wasn't this what he'd been chasing after? If he could increase his strength, even if it was only to peak late phase golden class, then the family would give him 20 soul gathering pills to help him break through golden class to mystic class. That way, Han Xiaopa's strength would be far ahead of the other 3 generations of the hidden house Han. The position of the 3rd generation young master would belong to him. Boss, I swear to the heavens that I'll only listen to you for the rest of my life. If I break this oath, then I'll lose all my strength and never be able to cultivate again. I'll become a cripple. Han Xiaopa immediately swore to the heavens. Lin Yi didn't really believe in oaths. In the face of absolute strength, oaths were a joke. But Han Xiaopa's oath was quite vicious. Losing all his strength and never being able to cultivate again was a nightmare for a practitioner. Normally, a practitioner with a bit of integrity wouldn't make such an oath. Han Xiaopa said this to express his sincerity to Lin Yi. Chapter 2055. Han Xiaopa didn't know how to answer Lin Yi's question. He had given everything he could to Lin Yi, and Lin Yi only needed the colored steel. If he didn't ask for anything else, Han Xiaopa wouldn't be able to prove his sincerity. But after some hesitation, Han Xiaopa raised his head. Boss, I don't know how to prove it. Please tell me. Forget it. A long journey tests a horse's stamina, and time reveals a man's heart. If you're really a reliable person, I won't be stingy and help you increase your strength. But if you're a hypocrite, then forget it. Lin Yi said. That's, Boss Lin. It's not that I'm in a rush or that I don't want to prove myself to you. But I have an idea, Han Xiaopa said after some hesitation. There's another event in the Hidden House Summit. It's a duo battle. If I can increase my strength, then I can go up there with you. Boss, with your strength, you'll definitely be able to win, and I'll just stay on the sidelines and protect myself. Oh, this duo battle requires 2 people to go up there? Can't one person do it? Lin Yi asked. No, it has to be 2 people. Plus, if one of the 2 in the team is knocked down, the team loses. So no matter how strong the boss is, the follower is too weak. If he gets knocked down first, he'll still lose. Han Xiaopa explained. I see. Lin Yi frowned and went into deep thought. To be honest, Lin Yi had a good eye for people. This Han Xiaopa shouldn't have any ulterior motives towards him. But even so, Lin Yi didn't want to give him any benefits directly. Whether it was Chen Yutian, Wu Qintian, or Ling Shan, they had all been friends for a long time, and Lin Yi had just helped them level up. As for his new follower, Zhao Qikuan, it had been so long since Lin Yi had helped him level up, and it didn't make sense for him to do it for Han Xiaopa first. However, if there really was such an event in the competition that required 2 people to cooperate, then Han Xiaopa's low strength would definitely affect his results. By the way, boss, you mentioned earlier that you're an alchemist? Han Xiaopa took a deep breath and suddenly thought of a good way to defect. That's right. Why do you ask? Lin Yi nodded. Then, boss, do you know about the Qi gathering pill? Han Xiaopa asked in a low voice. Qi gathering pills? Lin Yi narrowed his eyes and looked at Han Xiaopa. Why did you suddenly bring this up? Boss, I won't hide it from you. Our hidden Han family found a few sets of materials used to refine Qi gathering pills in the ancient ruins. This has always been our hidden Han family's greatest secret. Only the core disciples know about it, and they were strictly forbidden from spreading it. Han Xiaopa said solemnly, Boss, you should know that this Qi gathering pill might not mean much to ancient sects, but to hidden sects like us, it is something that we would fight over even if we had to break our heads to obtain. Han Xiaopa's words made Lin Yi nod. That's right. In the eyes of the hidden families and normal sects, the Qi gathering pill is a priceless treasure. Boss, if you can help me increase my strength and continue to protect our hidden Han family, I'm willing to convince my grandfather to give you the materials to refine the chi-gathering pill, Han Xiaopa said. Consider this a big gift from me, Han Xiaopa, to boss. This is our hidden Han family's secret. Now that I've told you about it, it more or less shows my sincerity. If news of this gets out, our hidden Han family will be robbed or even exterminated. Robbed? Exterminated? Not necessarily, right? Although the chi-gathering pill is precious, if you only have the materials to refine it, the hidden families won't be able to refine it even if they take it away, right? Alchemists are very rare, and the alchemists of the hidden families are at most first rank. Only the hidden house of the right has a high-rank alchemist. But to refine a third-rank pill like the chi-gathering pill, you'd need at least a fourth-rank alchemist. As far as I know, only the Sky Elixir School has such an expert, right? Lin Yi asked calmly. Boss, it seems that you still don't know much about the Sky Elixir School. Us hidden families can actually ask them to refine pills. Every time we refine a pill, we just need to provide more materials. No matter how many pills we refine, the Sky Elixir School will take half as a reward. If we only refine one pill, then we're out of luck and the Sky Elixir School will take it for themselves. Han Xiaopa said, Oh, the Sky Elixir School has such a rule? Then why don't you ask them to refine pills? Lin Yi asked curiously. Boss, the Sky Elixir School has this rule, but it's only for those houses that have a relationship with them. If you don't have a relationship with them, even if you ask them, they might not help you. Han Xiaopa smiled bitterly. Plus, even if we ask them to refine pills for us, with the hidden house Han's current strength, would they be able to keep the pills? They can't even keep the materials, let alone the pills. Han Xiaopa's words enlightened Lin Yi. It was true. Back then, Boss Yu was willing to enter an ancient tomb filled with traps just for a chi-gathering pill. It was enough to show how precious the pill was. If the hidden house Han managed to make the pill, then they might really be wiped out. The materials for the chi-gathering pill were extremely rare, and with the hidden house's current strength, it would be hard for them to gather all of them. The ancient sects could gather them, but because of the drawbacks of the chi-gathering pill, no one would refine it. However, the Sky Elixir School wouldn't reject a request from a hidden house like this. The reward they received, even if they sold it, could be exchanged for countless treasures or money. But, I'm curious, are you really willing to give me the materials for the chi-gathering pill? Or would your grandpa agree to your suggestion? Lin Yi looked at Han Xiaopa strangely. An innocent man gets into trouble because of his treasures. This thing in our hidden house, Han, we either keep it hidden and never see the light of day, or we'll get into trouble if we take it out. Han Xiaopa said, with the current development of our hidden house, Han, we won't be able to have an Earth-class late-phase peak or Sky-class for a few generations. As long as there isn't a Sky-class in our house, we wouldn't dare take the materials out. Unless there's an Earth-class late-phase peak who uses it directly after making the pill, but that's risky as well. Without absolute confidence, we wouldn't ask someone to make us a pill. Chapter 2056. Descendants? Han Xiaopa shook his head and sighed. We can't hold on much longer, and you're talking about descendants? This hidden house summit is just the beginning of dividing up the hidden Han family. Now that they've tasted the sweetness, there might be even more activities like trials, competitions, bets, and so on. Anyway, it's going to get harder and harder for the hidden Han family. It's hard to say if we can even survive this generation. So how can we have descendants? Ugh. Lin Yi didn't expect Han Xiaopa to think so much. But if what he said was true, then hidden house Han might really be swallowed up in the future. So, I'm giving this to you, boss. If you can help hidden house Han and bring us out of this predicament, then this price is worth it. Even if we don't have this thing in the future, hidden house Han will hold on to us. Even if we can't stand out, we won't be at the bottom. Han Xiaopa's analysis was very clear. All right, since you've told me the secret of hidden house Han, then I'll make an exception and help you this time at the hidden house summit. Lin Yi said, if hidden house Han doesn't lose too much at the summit, then they probably won't hold events like this anymore. That's natural. They won't be interested in things that don't benefit them. If they don't benefit from us this time, then they won't organize any other events other than the regular summit. Han Xiaopa nodded. Of course, even if they lose a little, with you standing up for them, those hidden houses will have to think twice. After all, Earth-class late-phase masters are the top of the family's power. It's not something they can afford to lose just like that. Hee. Linny smiled faintly. Prepare the ingredients for the chi-gathering pill. I'll pay a visit to the Hidden House Han 2 days before the Hidden House Summit. Just bring it to me then. All right, no problem. After saying that, Han Xiaopa hesitated for a moment. But with my strength, should I bring the materials over in the afternoon? No need. You don't have to worry about your strength. Linny said. You don't trust me? Of course I do. Since you have a well-thought-out plan, I won't say more. Han Xiaopa nodded. Boss, let's eat. After the meal, Han Xiaopa sent Lin Yi back to school and rushed back to the Hidden Han family to meet the current head of the Hidden Han family, Han Tianba. Of course, although grandfather Han's name was domineering, it was not domineering in the ranks of the hidden families. Han Xiaopa told Old Master Han everything that had happened during lunch in detail. When Han Tianba heard this, he was shocked. Xiaopa, you are really bold. You actually told us the family's big secret. Aren't you afraid of getting yourself into trouble? That Lin Yi is someone who can easily kill an Earth-class late-phase master. It would be as easy as flipping his hand for him to destroy our Hidden Han family. If Boss is interested in our Hidden House of Han, he would have been tempted when I told him that we found the ancient ruins. However, even after I gave him the colored steel, Boss still wasn't interested in our Hidden House of Han, Han Xiaopa said. This is enough to show that Boss isn't a greedy person. Even if that's the case, our Hidden House's foundation is too shallow. We have to be careful, Han Tianba said. Plus, isn't it a bit too much to give away the materials for the chi-gathering pill? It's not too much. If Boss is really on our side wholeheartedly, at least those who want to get their hands on our Hidden House will have to think about the consequences, Han Xiaopa said. But do they think that Lin Yi will help us when the time comes? Han Tianba asked. Grandpa, under normal circumstances, of course not. But now that I'm Boss's follower, there's no problem, Han Xiaopa said. Boss is famous for being protective. Think about that time in the Common World's Noble House meeting. Boss stood up for his follower and even destroyed the Common House Yu. What could the Hidden House Yu do? Didn't they suffer a loss in the end? Then, when Lin Yi was sick, he wanted to cause trouble, but Yu Lu died. Xiaopa, you're very observant. Han Tianba nodded slowly. But although Lin Yi is protective, if you have the intention to use him and he sees through it, it'll be a disaster. Grandpa, Xiaopa doesn't have the intention to use Boss at all. Han Xiaopa said, Boss has such great strength and power. I really want to be his follower. This way, I can learn more things and increase my strength. If that's the case, I won't say anything more, Han Tianba said. This is an opportunity for us, Hidden House. If we grasp it well, we can make a comeback. If we don't, we'll be doomed. But if we don't grasp it, we'll be doomed as well. So, we can only bet on Lin Yi. Yes, Grandpa, Han Xiaopa said. Plus, I promised Boss Lin Yi that if I become the head of the Hidden House Han, I'll follow his lead. Han Tianba's eyes focused on Han Xiaopa. He saw ambition in Han Xiaopa. Han Xiaopa actually wanted to fight for the position of the Hidden House Han's young master, and he said it without hiding anything. This surprised Han Tianba. However, Han Tianba didn't reprimand him. Instead, he said, if we really use Lin Yi's help to win a few matches and get out of our current predicament, it means that Lin Yi is really capable. The responsibility of building a good relationship with him will fall on your shoulders. Yes, Grandpa. Han Xiaopa, of course, understood Han Tianba's meaning. Han Xiaopa immediately said happily, You can go now. I'll make some preparations here. I'll ask your ninth uncle to find out more about the other matches. If Lin Yi can win a few more matches, I'll let those families that are plotting against the Hidden House Han know what it means to go for wool and come home shorn. Han Tianba thought about Lin Yi's notoriety and felt a little more confident. After Lin Yi returned to school, he temporarily put aside the matter of participating in the Hidden House Summit for the Hidden House Han. Instead, he thought about the chi-gathering pill. Chapter 2057. Lin Yi was speechless after hearing Han Xiaopa's introduction. He didn't think that this Zhao Qibing was a racer as well. Lin Yi was very surprised. He thought that this guy was a good-for-nothing. I've never seen him participate in any races here, Linny said. That's true. According to our intel, Zhao Qibing has been trying to get the hidden house Zhao's approval ever since he came back. So naturally, he wouldn't be racing anymore. Wouldn't he be no different from his previous image? He's been trying to make some achievements to get the hidden house Zhao's approval, but who would have thought that he would fail and be accepted by the hidden house Zhao? They took him back and let him return to his family. Han Xiaopa said, but we, the hidden house Han, don't know the reason, and we didn't investigate it. Hidden House Han and Hidden House Zhao were both hidden practitioner houses in Donghai, so they naturally paid more attention to each other's movements than other houses. But there were some secrets that they couldn't find out. Who would have thought that Zhao Qibing had this kind of ability? Lin Yi was very shocked, to be honest. I didn't know that this guy didn't even drive in Songshan. Man, I heard that he offended someone and got his legs broken a couple of times. How would he have the chance to drive? His legs are pretty good now. Han Xiaopa said, so, I saw Senior Lin's driving skills on the freeway, and I think that only Senior Lin can win against that Zhao Qibing. Lin Yi was speechless. I was the one who broke his legs. But, this guy seems to be pretty good from what you said. You seem to say that this guy is quite powerful. How about I find a reason to break his legs again during the competition? He won't be able to drive then. Hiss. Han Xiaopa took in a cold breath. This Lin Yi Sr. was really ruthless, wanting to break Zhao Qibing's legs. However, Han Xiaopa explained, Senior Lin, you absolutely can't do that. During the Hidden House Summit, the most taboo thing is for participants to fight in private. If there are any troublemakers, they will be punished. If there's a troublemaker, they'll be disqualified. So this won't work. I see. Lin Yi nodded. But if it was before the competition, Lin Yi wouldn't have had the chance to interact with Zhao Qibing. This guy was now hiding in the hidden Zhao family and not coming out. Lin Yi couldn't possibly kill his way to the hidden Zhao family, right? That's right. So it's better for Senior Lin to bring out his true strength. However, in my opinion, Senior Lin will definitely be able to defeat him. Han Xiaopa said, oh, then let's do our best. Lin Yi nodded and said, the Hidden House Summit is in the middle of this month. That's only a few days away. During the competition, you can bring your own car. Or do we have to use the car provided by the organizer? This is what I want to say next. Han Xiaopa said, you must use the car provided by the organizer. You are not allowed to bring your own car. Which of these hidden aristocratic families didn't have any connections? It's easy to modify a car, and it's even possible to modify a car into a plane. So, for the sake of fairness, we have to use the cars provided by the organizers to participate in the competition. Every car is fresh from the factory, so it's the same as new. Oh, then what car will be provided this time? Lin Yi asked. This rule was fair, but in reality, it wasn't. If he purposely chose a car that Zhao Qibing was good at, even if it was a new car that hadn't been modified before, he would still have an advantage over the others. Just as Han Xiaopa had said, this hidden aristocratic family summit was aimed at the hidden Han family. Then this race might have already been decided as the hidden house's victory. If that was the case, then the car would definitely be in Zhao Qibing's favor. This car. After saying that, Han Xiaopa hesitated for a moment. Originally, the model of this car would only be known 2 days before the competition. However, our Han family has spies and informants. We found out that the hidden Zhao family had purchased a batch of cars. But what? Lin Yi asked. But this car. Han Xiaopa hesitated. This car is the most common Jetta. I don't know what House Zhao is trying to do. Are they trying to confuse us or something? But I heard that House Zhao has been planning to enter the taxi business for a long time. Maybe after the car is used up, they can use it as a taxi business and save a lot of money. After all, House Zhao isn't that rich. They're far from us. Lin Yi nodded. If that Zhao Qibing is really good at racing, then the more common the car is, the more he can pull the gap. The Jetta might be the car for this competition, but your hidden house Han is quite rich? Of course, in the ancient ruins we found, not only were there many treasures for training, there was also a lot of gold and silver, enough for us to spend for a few generations. It's fine even if we don't find a way to earn money in these few generations. Han Xiaopa said, Grandpa said that now is the time for us to stabilize our position as a hidden house, not for development. We need to stabilize our position as a hidden house and increase our strength before we can research and develop. And our generation doesn't need to research about earning money. What you're doing is right. Hidden House Zhao is only using Zhao Qibing to test the waters to earn money in the common world. Your hidden house's foundation is still too shallow. Linny agreed, but a few generations is a bit long. Make good use of this opportunity. Your generation might bring glory to the hidden house of Han. Lin Yi's eyes were no longer limited to the few noble houses in the common world. Lin Yi had basically taken care of all the noble houses in the common world. Lin Yi's eyes were now on the hidden houses. Hidden House Zhao and Hidden House Yu both had Lin Yi's underlings. If he could pull Hidden House Han down, then Lin Yi's words would have more weight in the hidden house's hierarchy. Only by combining all these forces would Lin Yi have the right to speak with the ancient sects and ancient noble houses on equal footing. Otherwise, even if Lin Yi became a sky-class master, he wouldn't be able to make the ancient sects and ancient noble houses fear him. Because Lin Yi was only one person, without a force behind him, he couldn't always guarantee the safety of his family and friends. Han Xiaopa was able to stand out among the disciples of House Han, so naturally, he wasn't an idiot. After hearing Lin Yi's words, his eyes lit up, and he was deep in thought. He knew that Lin Yi was throwing out an olive branch, and whether he accepted it or not, it was all up to him. To be continued, RQ. Chapter 2058. If he accepted it, then Hidden House Han might very well become one of the hidden houses, just like Lin Yi had said. After all, Han Xiaopa had some understanding of Lin Yi's past achievements. The common world's cultivation houses that were on good terms with Lin Yi were all doing very well. Those who were enemies with Lin Yi were either gone or struggling. So what if he had the hidden house's support? The common world House Yu was still destroyed, and the common world Xiao family and Kong family weren't doing too well either. This was all thanks to Lin Yi, who asked them to go against Lin Yi. However, Han Xiaopa wasn't the young master of Hidden House Han. There were some things that he couldn't decide on, so he was in a difficult position. From his perspective, if Hidden House Han stood by Lin Yi's side, it would be more beneficial than harmful. However, this was only his opinion. He didn't know how his grandfather saw it. However, there was only one chance. If he rejected it now, then Lin Yi probably wouldn't help Hidden House Han in the future. After this Hidden House summit, everyone's relationship would fade away. Senior Lin, Hidden House Han has a lot of cultivation materials and treasures, but I lack a master to guide me in my cultivation. Han Xiaopa made up his mind in an instant. Since he couldn't decide on the Hidden Han family's attitude, he could decide on his own. Hence, he immediately said, "If Senior Lin doesn't mind, please accept me as your disciple. Please guide me on the path of cultivation." Han Xiaopa's reaction was out of Lin Yi's expectation. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that Han Xiaopa would ask to be his disciple right away. Lin Yi didn't know what to say. Seeing that Lin Yi didn't say anything, Han Xiaopa thought that Lin Yi wasn't satisfied with his attitude, but he could only smile bitterly and explain, "Senior Lin, although I'm a direct descendant of Hidden House Han, I can't make decisions on matters of the Hidden House. I can't make the entire Hidden House listen to Senior Lin. However, I swear that one day, if I can become the head of Hidden House Han, I will follow Senior Lin's lead." Lin Yi nodded. "You want me to be your disciple?" "Yes. Hidden House Han has the support of ancient ruins, but I don't have a master to guide me on the path of cultivation. I'm completely blind." Han Xiaopa didn't hide anything. Your disciple is only at the middle phase of the golden class right now. Your disciple knows that this level of strength isn't enough to catch Senior Lin's eye, but even this level of strength was forcefully increased by consuming the soul-gathering pill. Soul-gathering pill? Lin Yi had heard of this before. Most of the disciples of the hidden houses had used this to increase their strength. Yu Bing was the same. Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh. Even the weakest disciple of the hidden house had such a good thing to use. He, Lin Yi, had to break through bit by bit. You really can't compare yourself to others. Although he was already an Earth class, but thinking back to when he was a Golden class, how hard was it to break through to the Mystic class? But mystic class was a common thing among the disciples of the hidden houses. Yes, in the ancient ruins, we found some soul-gathering pills and soul-gathering pills. The soul-gathering pills were all used by the elders, so they have the strength of mystic class. As for us, the third-generation disciples, we only got the soul-gathering pills. I'm considered quite talented, using only 3 soul-gathering pills to reach the middle phase of the golden class. Han Xiaopa smiled bitterly. But there aren't many soul-gathering pills and soul-gathering pills left, and the hidden house you doesn't want to sell them to us. So, I'm worried about the future of cultivation. Never mind, I don't have plans to take in disciples at this age. But if you're willing, I can take you in as a follower. Linny said, but your loyalty still needs to be tested. Thank you, Senior Lin. Han Xiaopa heard Lin Yi's words and quickly stood up. He cupped his fists. Boss, please accept this little brother's bow. With that, Han Xiaopa bowed respectfully to Lin Yi. You're a quick one, taking advantage of the situation. You stood up as soon as I finished speaking. Lin Yi smiled faintly and waved his hand. But anyone can say nice things. It depends on your performance in the future. I'm taking a follower not because of your personal strength, but because of your loyalty. Senior Lin. No, Boss Lin. I'm the most loyal. I promise to listen to your orders. Han Xiaopa quickly said. Since you're loyal, then I can give you strength. Lin Yi said, didn't you want to become my disciple to increase your strength? But my follower will receive the same treatment. I believe that your hidden Han family has already investigated my situation and knows about the situation of my brothers. You should have seen their strength before and their current strength. I see. Han Xiaopa really did investigate the situation around Lin Yi. But the entire hidden house Han was very puzzled. How did Lin Yi's followers, including Lin Yi's woman, suddenly increase in strength? At first, many of them were early-phase golden class masters. Now, they're at peak late-phase mystic class. It was unbelievable. Of course, although they were puzzled, they couldn't figure out what was going on. It wasn't until Lin Yi said it that Han Xiaopa realized that it was all thanks to Lin Yi. Thinking that he could increase his strength, Han Xiaopa's heart was filled with joy. Wasn't this what he'd been chasing after? If he could increase his strength, even if it was only to peak late-phase golden class, then the family would give him 20 soul-gathering pills to help him break through golden class to mystic class. That way, Han Xiaopa's strength would be far ahead of the other 3 generations of the hidden house Han. The position of the 3rd-generation young master would belong to him. Boss, I swear to the heavens that I'll only listen to you for the rest of my life. If I break this oath, then I'll lose all my strength and never be able to cultivate again. I'll become a cripple. Han Xiaopa immediately swore. Lin Yi didn't really believe in oaths. In the face of absolute strength, oaths were a joke. But Han Xiaopa's oath wasn't anything but vicious. Losing all his strength and being unable to practice anymore was a nightmare for practitioners, and any practitioner with a bit of integrity wouldn't make an oath like this. Han Xiaopa was only saying this to show his sincerity to Lin Yi. How can I prove your loyalty? Lin Yi looked at Han Xiaopa and asked faintly. Chapter 2059. Han Xiaopa didn't know how to answer Lin Yi's question. He had given everything he could to Lin Yi, and Lin Yi only needed the colored steel. If he didn't ask for anything else, Han Xiaopa wouldn't be able to prove his sincerity. But after some hesitation, Han Xiaopa raised his head. Boss, I don't know how to prove it. Please tell me. Forget it. A long journey tests a horse's stamina, and time reveals a man's heart. If you're really a reliable person, I won't be stingy and help you increase your strength. But if you're a hypocrite, then forget it. Lin Yi said. That's Boss Lin. It's not that I'm in a rush or that I don't want to prove myself to you. But I have an idea, Han Xiaopa said after some hesitation. There's another event in the Hidden House Summit. It's a duo battle. If I can increase my strength, then I can go up there with you. Boss, with your strength, you'll definitely be able to win, and I'll just stay on the sidelines and protect myself. Oh? This duel requires 2 people to go on stage at the same time? Can't one person do it? Lin Yi asked. No, it has to be 2 people. Plus, if one of the 2 in the team is knocked down, the team loses. So no matter how strong the boss is, the follower is too weak if he gets knocked down first he'll still lose. Han Xiaopa explained. I see. Linny frowned and went into deep thought. To be honest, Linny had a good eye for people. This Han Xiaopa shouldn't have any ulterior motives towards him. But even so, Linny didn't want to give him any benefits directly. Whether it was Chen Yutian, Wu Chintian, or Ling Shan, they had all been friends for a long time, and Linny had just helped them level up. As for his new follower, Zhao Qikuan, it had been so long since Lin Yi had helped him level up, and it didn't make sense for him to do it for Han Xiaopa first. However, if there really was such an event in the competition that required two people to cooperate, then Han Xiaopa's low strength would definitely affect his results. By the way, boss, you mentioned earlier that you're an alchemist? Han Xiaopa took a deep breath and suddenly thought of a good way to defect. That's right. Why do you ask? Lin Yi nodded. Then, boss, do you know about the Qi gathering pill? Han Xiaopa asked in a low voice. Qi gathering pills? Lin Yi narrowed his eyes and looked at Han Xiaopa. Why did you suddenly bring this up? Boss, I won't hide it from you. Our hidden Han family found a few sets of materials used to refine Qi gathering pills in the ancient ruins. This has always been our hidden Han family's greatest secret. Only the core disciples know about it, and they were strictly forbidden from spreading it. Han Xiaopa said solemnly, Boss, you should know that this Qi gathering pill might not mean much to ancient sects, but to hidden sects like us, it is something that we would fight over even if we had to break our heads to obtain. Han Xiaopa's words made Lin Yi nod. That's right. In the eyes of the hidden families and normal sects, the Qi gathering pill is a priceless treasure. Boss, if you can help me increase my strength and continue to protect our hidden Han family, I'm willing to convince my grandfather to give you the materials to refine the Qi gathering pill. Han Xiaopa said, Consider this a big gift from me, Han Xiaopa, to boss. This is our hidden Han family's secret. Now that I've told you about it, it more or less shows my sincerity. If news of this gets out, our hidden Han family will be robbed or even exterminated. Robbed? Exterminated? Not necessarily, right? Although the Qi gathering pill is precious, if you only have the materials to refine it, the hidden families won't be able to refine it even if they take it away, right? Alchemists are very rare, and the alchemists of the hidden families are at most first rank. Only the hidden house of the right has a high-rank alchemist. But to refine a third-rank pill like the Qi gathering pill, you'd need at least a fourth-rank alchemist. As far as I know, only the Sky Elixir School has such an expert, right? Lin Yi asked calmly. Boss, it seems that you still don't know much about the Sky Elixir School. Us hidden families can actually ask them to refine pills. Every time we refine a pill, we just need to provide more materials. No matter how many pills we refine, the Sky Elixir School will take half as a reward. If we only refine one pill, then we're out of luck and the Sky Elixir School will take it for themselves, Han Xiaopa said. Oh, the Sky Elixir School has such a rule? Then why don't you ask them to refine pills? Lin Yi asked curiously. Boss, the Sky Elixir School has this rule, but it's only for those houses that have a relationship with them. If you don't have a relationship with them, even if you beg them, they might not help you. Han Xiaopa smiled bitterly. Plus, even if we asked them to refine pills for us, with the hidden house Han's current strength, would they be able to keep the pills? They can't even keep the materials, let alone the pills. Han Xiaopa's words enlightened Lin Yi. It was true. Back then, Boss Yu was willing to enter an ancient tomb filled with traps just for a Qi gathering pill. It was enough to show how precious the pill was. If the hidden house Han managed to make the pill, then they might really be wiped out. The materials for the Qi gathering pill were extremely rare, and with the hidden house's current strength, it would be hard for them to gather all of them. The ancient sects could gather them, but because of the drawbacks of the Qi gathering pill, no one would refine it. However, the Sky Elixir School wouldn't reject a request from a hidden house like this. The reward they received, even if they sold it, could be exchanged for countless treasures or money. But, I'm curious, are you really willing to give me the materials for the Qi gathering pill? Or would your grandfather agree to your suggestion? Lin Yi looked at Han Xiaopa strangely. An innocent man gets into trouble because of his treasures. This thing in our hidden house, Han, we either keep it hidden and never see the light of day, or we'll get into trouble if we take it out. Han Xiaopa said, with the current development of our hidden house, Han, we won't be able to have an Earth-class late-phase peak or sky-class for a few generations. As long as there isn't a sky-class in our house, we wouldn't dare take the materials out. Unless there's an Earth-class late-phase peak who uses it directly after making it, but that's risky as well. Without absolute confidence, we wouldn't take it out to ask someone to make us a pill. Oh, but keeping the materials for the chi gathering pill is also a ray of hope. Even if it's not possible now, don't you think about the future generations? Lin Yi smiled faintly. This chi gathering pill is the hope of breaking through to sky class. Chapter 2060. Descendants? Han Xiaopa shook his head and sighed. We can't hold on much longer, and you're talking about descendants? This Hidden House Summit is just the beginning of dividing up the Hidden Han family. Now that they've tasted the sweetness, there might be even more activities like trials, competitions, bets, and so on. Anyway, it's going to get harder and harder for the Hidden Han family. It's hard to say if we can even survive this generation. So how can we have descendants? Ugh. Lin Yi didn't expect Han Xiaopa to think so much. But if what he said was true, then Hidden House Han might really be swallowed up in the future. So, I'm giving this to you, boss. If you can help Hidden House Han and bring us out of this predicament, then this price is worth it. Even if we don't have this thing in the future, Hidden House Han will hold on to us. Even if we can't stand out, we won't be at the bottom. Han Xiaopa's analysis was very clear. All right, since you've told me the secret of Hidden House Han, then I'll make an exception and help you this time at the Hidden House Summit. Lin Yi said, if Hidden House Han doesn't lose too much at the summit, then they probably won't hold events like this anymore. That's natural. They won't be interested in things that don't benefit them. If they don't benefit from us this time, then they won't organize any other events other than the regular summit. Han Xiaopa nodded. Of course, even if they lose a little, with you standing up for them, those hidden houses will have to think twice. After all, Earth-class late-phase masters are the top of the family's power. It's not something they can afford to lose just like that. Hee. Lin Yi smiled faintly. Prepare the ingredients for the chi gathering pill. I'll pay a visit to the Hidden House Han 2 days before the Hidden House Summit. Just bring it to me then. All right, no problem. After saying that, Han Xiaopa hesitated for a moment. But with my strength, should I bring the materials over in the afternoon? No need. You don't have to worry about your strength. Lin Yi said. You don't trust me? Of course I do. Since you have a well-thought-out plan, I won't say more. Han Xiaopa nodded. Boss, let's eat. After the meal, Han Xiaopa sent Lin Yi back to school and rushed back to the Hidden Han family to meet the current head of the Hidden Han family, Han Tianba. Of course, although grandfather Han's name was domineering, it was not domineering in the ranks of the hidden families. Han Xiaopa told him about lunch. He sent it to Old Master Han via WeChat. When Han Tianba heard this, he was shocked. Xiaopa, you are really bold. You actually told us the family's big secret. Aren't you afraid of getting yourself into trouble? That Lin Yi is someone who can easily kill an Earth-class late-phase master. It would be as easy as flipping his hand for him to destroy our Hidden Han family. If Boss is interested in our Hidden House of Han, he would have been tempted when I told him that we found the ancient ruins. However, even after I gave him the colored steel, Boss still wasn't interested in our Hidden House of Han, Han Xiaopa said. This is enough to show that Boss isn't a greedy person. That being said, our Hidden House's foundation is too shallow. We have to be careful, Han Tianba said. Plus, isn't it a bit too much to give away the materials for the chi gathering pill? It's not too much. If Boss is really on our side wholeheartedly, at least those who want to get their hands on our hidden house will have to think about the consequences, Han Xiaopa said. But do they think that Lin Yi will help us when the time comes? Han Tianba asked. Grandpa, under normal circumstances, of course not. But now that I'm Boss's follower, there's no problem. Han Xiaopa said, Boss is famous for being protective. Think about that time in the Common World's Noble House meeting. Boss stood up for his underlings, and even the Common House you was destroyed. What could the Hidden House you do? Didn't they suffer a loss in the end? Then, when Lin Yi was sick, he wanted to cause trouble, but Yu Lu died. Xiaopa, you're very observant. Han Tianba nodded slowly. But although Linny is protective, if you have the intention to use him and he sees through it, it'll be a disaster. Grandpa, Xiaopa doesn't have the intention to use Boss at all. Han Xiaopa said, Boss has such great magical powers and power. I really want to be his follower. This way, I can learn more things and improve my strength. If that's the case, I won't say anything more. Han Tianba said, this is an opportunity for us, Hidden House. If we grasp it well, we can make a comeback. If we don't, we'll be doomed. But if we don't grasp it, we'll be doomed as well. So, we can only bet on Lin Yi. Yes, Grandpa, Han Xiaopa said. Plus, I promised Boss Lin Yi that if I become the head of the Hidden House Han, I'll follow his lead. Han Tianba's eyes focused on Han Xiaopa. He saw ambition in Han Xiaopa. Han Xiaopa actually wanted to fight for the position of the Hidden House Han's young master, and he said it without hiding anything. This surprised Han Tianba. However, Han Tianba didn't reprimand him. Instead, he said, if we really use Lin Yi's help to win a few matches and get out of our current predicament, it means that Lin Yi is really capable. The responsibility of building a good relationship with him will fall on your shoulders. Yes, Grandpa. Han Xiaopa, of course, understood Han Tianba's meaning. Han Xiaopa said happily, you can go now. I'll make some preparations here. I'll ask your ninth Uncle Han to find out more about the other matches. If Linny can win a few more matches, I'll let those families that are plotting against the Hidden House Han know what it means to go for wool and come home shorn. Han Tianba thought about Lin Yi's notoriety and felt a little more confident. After Lin Yi returned to school, he temporarily put the matter of participating in the Hidden House Summit on behalf of the Hidden House Han to the back of his mind. Instead, he thought about the Qi Gathering Pill. The Qi Gathering Pill was a yellow class level 3 pill. It was the same as the Ice Heart Jade Bone Pill that Miss Rock Candy wanted to refine. Chapter 2061. However, Han Jingjing could only successfully concoct a yellow class level 2 pill at the moment. Moreover, the success rate was not guaranteed. Yellow class level 3 was almost impossible. It was said that only a Heaven Realm Master, a yellow class level 4 pill master, could successfully concoct a yellow class level 3 pill. To have a 100% success rate, one must reach the level of a Mystic level 1 alchemist. Otherwise, even a Huang level 4 alchemist would only have a higher success rate, but not a 100% success rate. So now, Linny was facing two problems. One was to raise his own strength to Heaven class, and then raise Han Jingjing's strength to Earth class. This way, it would be possible for Han Jingjing to control the level 3 alchemy fire as she pleased. But it was obviously more difficult for him to advance to Heaven class, at least for now. But with the help of the Qi Gathering Pill, Linny felt that he should be able to advance to Heaven class very quickly. At that time, raising Han Jingjing's strength would be a piece of cake. However, the Qi Gathering Pill was also a yellow grade level 3 pill. If his strength could not reach Heaven grade, then Han Jingjing would not be able to advance to Earth grade, and if Han Jingjing could not advance to Earth grade, then she would not be able to refine the Qi Gathering Pill. This was an endless loop. If one succeeded, then the others would naturally succeed. If one failed, then the others would not be able to succeed. Thinking of these things, Linny had a headache. It was clearly something that was within reach, but it was so far away. The materials of the Qi Gathering Pill were precious in Lin Yi's hands, but if it could not be used, it was a waste. However, if Linny himself broke through to Heaven class, and then raised Han Jingjing to the peak of the late phase of Earth class, she would be able to refine a level 3 pill. Then even if the Qi Gathering Pill was refined, it would not be of much use to a Heaven class master like Lin Yi. Although it could make Lin Yi's strength increase faster, it was not fast at the current stage. Lin Yi's heart was pressured by the 2-year promise, so he naturally did not have much time to waste. 2 years, there was still more than a year left. Lin Yi did not dare to say that he had 100% confidence in advancing to Heaven class. Therefore, how to use the materials of this Qi Gathering Pill became a difficult problem for Lin Yi. Lin Yi needed this Qi Amassing Pill to increase his chances of breaking through to Heaven stage, but to refine the Qi Amassing Pill, he needed the strength of Heaven stage as a foundation. A level 4 alchemist, without the strength of Heaven stage as a backing, would find it difficult to refine a level 3 pill. Even a Sky-class 4th-level refiner couldn't guarantee a 100% success rate in making a 3rd-level elixir. Only a mystic 1st-level refiner like Zhang Liju would be able to do it. Otherwise, even if it was a yellow-rank 7th-level pill refinement master, there was a possibility of failure when refining a yellow-rank pill refinement master. Naturally, there were no absolutes in this world. Han Jingjing might be a genius, but even if she was a genius, her strength had to be at the heaven rank. As a result, Linny felt very wronged. He had the materials, but he couldn't refine them. Even if he could, the effects wouldn't be as great as they were now, and he didn't need them as urgently anymore. How could he improve his strength to the next level? This was what Linny wanted to do right now. Although, breaking through from Earth-class early phase to Earth-class mid-phase was already considered very fast for other practitioners, and without the help of elixirs and legacies, Lin Yi's speed was already very fast. But Linny himself knew that the reason why he was able to reach Earth-class early phase peak so quickly from Earth-class early phase peak had to do with the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, as well as the fact that he trained day and night without rest. But there were still two important reasons. The first was because of the few days of military training. When he hugged Wang Xinyan to sleep, it gave Lin Yi a great opportunity. Those few nights were not an exaggeration for Lin Yi. It was many times faster than his usual training speed. Lin Yi didn't understand why Wang Xinyan's scent had such a huge effect on him, but it didn't matter as long as there were results. So Lin Yi really missed those few nights. It was just that after coming back, Lin Yi couldn't get too close to Wang Xinyan, let alone hug her, especially since it was already late autumn and the weather was cold. Wang Xinyan wore more clothes, and so the scent of her body couldn't seep out. Although Lin Yi shared a table with her every day, he didn't get the benefits of that scent. But Lin Yi couldn't just let Wang Xinyan take off all her clothes and wear a set of home clothes to class, could he? Not only would it be cold, people would think that there was something wrong with Wang Xinyan if they saw it. The second reason was because when Su Shihan and Qing Yi were kidnapped, Lin Yi fought with the men in black, and he broke through his limits multiple times. It could be said that it was a common thing for Lin Yi on his path of leveling up. But this kind of opportunity was hard to come by. Naturally, there wouldn't be any limits when fighting with low-level masters, and if he fought with high-level masters, he couldn't go too high. That would be a one-sided beating, and how could he break through? After thinking about it, Lin Yi still felt that the first method was more reliable. But how was he going to talk to Wang Xinyan? Looking at Wang Xinyan sitting quietly beside him, reading a book, Lin Yi didn't know what to say. As he thought about it, Lin Yi got a little distracted. Wang Xinyan was reading, but there was no way she wouldn't feel Lin Yi looking at her like that. At first, Wang Xinyan thought that Lin Yi was just looking at her, so she didn't pay much attention. But after that, Lin Yi's eyes never left her, and it made her feel uncomfortable and embarrassed. Lin Yi, what's up? Wang Xinyan didn't want to be direct. What are you looking at? So she changed her way of asking. Lin Yi came back to his senses, a little embarrassed. I was thinking about something, so I got distracted. But I do have something to ask you, W. What's up? Xinyan said, her mind drifting off at the explanation, but she was still a little embarrassed. There was no way she'd be able to calm down after being stared at by a guy for so long, and it was the kind of guy she had feelings for. The scent on your body? Lin Yi felt that this kind of question was a little intrusive, but it was something to do with Lin Yi's training, so Lin Yi had to ask. Chapter 2062. I smelled it a long time ago, Lin Yi said. We were so close during the training. How could I not have smelled it? Actually, Xinyan was starting to stutter, but she still managed to speak in a small voice. My body was really weak when I was young, and the doctor said that I wouldn't live past 5. My parents tried to find a doctor for me, but nothing came of it. When I was 2 years old, my parents brought me to the mountains to purchase medicinal ingredients. My father was in the business of medicinal ingredients. This time, we unexpectedly met an old man who was traveling around the world. When this old man saw my condition, he fed me something that was said to be a spiritual medicine of the heavens and earth. He said that it was a good karma, and that if we were fated, we would meet again in the future. From then on, my body became better, and my body also emitted a kind of fragrance. According to my parents, It was the smell of that spiritual medicine. Of course, this was what my parents told me. I was too young at that time, so I didn't have any memories. Xinyan didn't know why she was talking to Linny so much. After all, she wasn't someone who liked to talk, but she still told Linny some things about herself, just like that time on the plane, as if it was supposed to be like that. Good karma? Heaven and earth elixir? Linny frowned. He didn't know what Xinyan was talking about, but he was sure that the old man wasn't a normal person. A master like him who traveled the world couldn't be judged with common sense. Yeah, I heard that the smell was on me from then on, Xinyan said. It smells good, Linny said, and it seems like this smell can speed up my training. Ah, is that so? Xinyan's face turned even redder as she lowered her head, unsure of how to respond to Lin Yi's words. Linny was feeling quite awkward. To Lin, he wouldn't have brought this up if Linny didn't really need this smell to train. After all, it was a girl's private thing. It wasn't something they should talk about unless they were extremely close. So Linny didn't know what to say when Xinyan lowered her head. Just as he was feeling awkward, Boss Bai walked into the classroom. The afternoon class had begun. Boss Bai's appearance helped Lin Yi and Xinyan out of the awkwardness, and the two opened their books in tacit understanding, preparing for class. But, after a while, Xinyan, who was sitting beside Lin Yi, started moving. She lightly unbuttoned her jacket and took off her jacket, folding it neatly and placing it on the innermost seat. That wasn't all. Xinyan started unbuttoning the top button of her shirt as well. In actuality, Xinyan had gone through a lot of mental struggle before she decided to do this. She didn't know why, but she felt a strong urge to help Linny when he told her that her scent could help him with his training. She didn't know why, but she was too embarrassed to do so, and so hesitantly waited until now to take off her jacket. Xinyan's actions surprised Linny a little. Xinyan was wearing quite a lot of clothes, but there was a faint scent coming from her. Linny looked at Xinyan, too excited to speak. Xinyan, however, felt Lin Yi's gaze and blushed even more. I'm a little hot. The heater's switched on in the classroom now, and I'm wearing a little too much. Huh? Thank you. Linny knew that Xinyan was just looking for an excuse. There was a heater in the classroom, but a coat wouldn't be too hot. Some people had taken off their coats, but Xinyan hadn't taken them off in the past few days, so it was obvious why she was doing this. What are you thanking me for? I don't understand. Hurry up and pay attention. Xinyan buried her head in the textbook in front of her, not looking at Lin Yi. Lin Yi sighed in his heart at the sight of Xinyan's shyness. He knew that the relationship between him and Xinyan was getting closer and closer. There wasn't anything yet, but if this went on, there would be some strange feelings. Even now, Lin Yi's impression of Wang Xinyan was a lot better than when they first met. It was just that all of this seemed to be a subtle change that happened without him even realizing it. Lin Yi didn't waste this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He started practicing the second stage of the art of dragon mastery as he listened to Boss Bai's lecture. Lin Yi didn't have to worry about any enemies in the classroom, and he didn't have to worry about anything. With the help of Xinyan's scent, Lin Yi's training speed could only be described as 1,000 miles in a day. The scent wasn't as thick as it was during the military training, but it was still more than twice as fast as Lin Yi's own training speed. Lin Yi was very satisfied with this speed. After all, this was a classroom. He couldn't ask Xinyan to take off all her clothes, could he? Or rather, he couldn't just go up and hug her, could he? Naturally, Lin Yi wouldn't waste such a good opportunity. He used every second he had to train. Although Lin Yi didn't know why, it was still a good thing. Lin Yi didn't think about anything else and focused on training. Xinyan herself didn't know why she'd taken off her coat, nor did she know why she'd unbuttoned her top button. Was she doing this on purpose to let him smell her scent? Did this count as seducing Lin Yi? Xinyan felt that her actions were a little shameless, but when she sneaked a glance at Lin Yi's serious face as he trained, she felt that she was thinking too much. Lin Yi had helped her so much, and she didn't have anything to repay him for. Now that there was a bit of scent that could help Lin Yi train, she let him absorb it. With that thought, Xinyan moved her body closer to Lin Yi so that her collar could get closer to Lin Yi's body. But this way, Xinyan's heart was in a mess. She didn't hear a single word that Boss Bai was saying on the podium. Her mind was filled with shyness and nervousness. She kept comforting herself, telling herself that she was only helping Lin Yi with his training to repay him, nothing else. The afternoon passed in a blur. Xin Yan was so dizzy that she didn't hear anything, but Lin Yi, on the other hand, had learned a lot. Chapter 2063. Lin Yi wasn't leaving, and so was Xin Yan. She knew what Lin Yi was doing, and she was afraid that Lin Yi would lose his perfume if she moved, and so she kept her position close to Lin Yi, not daring to move at all. Lin Yi wasn't leaving, and so was Han Jingjing. The two had agreed that they'd walk together after school if there wasn't anything else. Han Jingjing looked at Lin Yi and Xin Yan curiously, wondering what they were doing. However, Han Jingjing didn't ask anything. Instead, she took out her tablet and continued to calculate something on it. Lin Yi was in a practicing state, but he was aware of what was going on in the outside world. His consciousness was connected to the outside world, or else he wouldn't be able to practice and listen to class at the same time. Lin Yi knew that everyone had left, but Lin Yi didn't want to let go of the pleasure that came with training. Full. Lin Yi exited his training mode and looked at Xin Yan apologetically. He wanted to say something, but didn't know what to say. All he could say was a single word. Thank you. You're done with your training? Xin Yan didn't know about the relationship between Han Jingjing and Lin Yi, so she kept her voice low when she asked. The classroom was very quiet right now, and she had to be extra careful when she spoke. Yeah, thanks for your hard work. Lin Yi nodded. It's nothing. Xin Yan shook her head with a smile. Then, I'll be going. Yeah, let's go together. Lin Yi said. But for now, put on your coat. It'll be cold outside. Yeah. Xin Yan was a little embarrassed when Lin Yi lifted her coat. Han Jingjing, on the other hand, looked at Xin Yan and Lin Yi curiously, not knowing what they were talking about. Big brother Lin Yi, what are you talking about with Xin Yan? Something about training? Were you cultivating before? Han Jingjing asked curiously. Yes, I was cultivating just now. Lin Yi did not hide anything from Han Jingjing. Oh, but why are you thanking her? Han Jingjing nodded, but it was a little strange that Lin Yi was thanking Wang Xin Yan. Actually, Xin Yan is a little special. When she's by my side, she can help me cultivate. Since it involved Xin Yan's privacy, Lin Yi didn't go into too much detail, leaving it vague. Naturally, Lin Yi wasn't guarded against Han Jingjing after all. She knew some of Lin Yi's super secrets. Training besides Xin Yan wasn't a big deal. Special? Help with cultivation? Han Jingjing, on the other hand, looked at Xin Yan curiously, trying to figure out what was so strange about her. Xin Yan, on the other hand, was quite embarrassed from Han Jingjing's stare. She didn't know what to do. Jingjing, don't look at Xin Yan like that. You have me to help you level up. You don't need it? Lin Yi said. Oh. Han Jingjing was no longer curious after hearing Lin Yi's words. She nodded and didn't say anything else. Xin Yan, on the other hand, was a little curious after hearing the conversation between Lin Yi and Han Jingjing. Lin Yi didn't seem to be hiding things from Han Jingjing, either. Was Han Jingjing and Lin Yi that close already? Xin Yan was curious, but she wasn't the curious type. She parted ways with Lin Yi after they left the biology building. Big brother Lin Yi, you and Xin Yan seem to be pretty close? Han Jingjing asked as they walked. Haha, we've known each other for a long time. We're pretty close. Lin Yi nodded. Oh, then are you two a couple? Han Jingjing asked. No, just a little better. Lin Yi said. That's good then. Looks like I still have a chance. Han Jingjing nodded happily. What chance? Lin Yi blinked at Han Jingjing's sudden leap in thought. Nothing, nothing. Han Jingjing shook her head. Ah, right, Lin Yi bro. I can condense metal, wood, water, fire, and earth now, but the conversion between them isn't as smooth as before. There's still a bit of complexity in the conversion, so I'm working on simplifying it. With that, Han Jingjing waved the tablet in her hand. You've already condensed it? Lin Yi's eyes widened. He wasn't expecting Han Jingjing to be this skilled. Hadn't she done it in the morning? Otherwise, she would have told me in the morning. It seemed that she had only condensed it in one day. However, for Han Jingjing's genius, Lin Yi was already used to it. Lin Yi was almost numb now. He had to admit that Han Jingjing was probably the first alchemist to propose scientific alchemy. Of course, it wasn't enough to have a scientific alchemy brain. You must have a certain qualification. And this Han Jingjing was probably a genius with both qualifications and brains. Of course, in comparison, her qualifications might be a little worse. After all, Han Jingjing also said that his sensitivity to controlling the alchemy fire was a little worse, but he could make up for it with a formula. But this was enough. Yeah, but I can't convert it at will. There are still some obstacles, so Jingjing has to keep working hard and continue to simplify and optimize the conversion. Han Jingjing nodded and said, "Okay, you work hard." Lin Yi nodded blankly. You can also try to refine some earth-level elixirs with those two cauldrons. The things that Right Coiling Tiger took out are definitely not trash. They should be good stuff. Han Jingjing nodded. The two came to the parking lot together. Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and Han Xiaoqiao were already waiting there. Today, Lin Yi was delayed in his practice, so he was a little late. "Shield bro, why are you so slow today? Did your teacher delay the class?" Yu Shu asked after seeing Lin Yi. "No, I was practicing before, so I was delayed." Lin Yi said, "Get in the car, it's a little cold. Let's go back now." Back home, Lin Yi didn't say anything the whole night. On the other hand, Right Coiling Tiger immediately drove to the Hidden House U after school. The Hidden House U wasn't in Donghai, but in a small town between Donghai and Songshan. This was also the reason why Right Coiling Tiger took the college entrance examination in Songshan, because he was affiliated to a high school in Songshan. Chapter 2064. Good stuff. When Right Coiling Tiger heard Lin Yi's name, he gritted his teeth in anger. "Uncle, I was tricked by Lin Yi. Motherf ***, Lin Yi played with me. He tricked me with a street vendor's goods." "Tricked you? What's going on?" Right Zhentian's face darkened and he frowned. "Coiling Tiger, you're not young anymore. Even if you suffered a loss, you have to keep your composure. Don't curse every time you open your mouth. Tell me the details." "Yes, big uncle." Right Coiling Tiger nodded and told his big uncle everything that had happened today. Right Coiling Tiger didn't dare to hide or exaggerate because he knew that although the yellow-haired and purple-haired men were his subordinates, they wouldn't hide anything in front of his uncle. If he spoke carelessly, his uncle would be even angrier when he found out the truth. "If that's the case, you were careless? That Lin Yi clearly reminded you many times that our Hidden You family also has his stuff. Moreover, exchanging with you is cheating you. Did you insist on exchanging?" Right Zhentian asked. "Uncle, although that's the case, you also know that Lin Yi is cunning. In that situation, anyone would think that he didn't want to exchange and said that to increase the value of the information in his hands. Who knew that it was really like that?" Right Coiling Tiger said bitterly, "This matter can't be completely blamed on me. It can't be completely blamed on you." Right Zhentian waved his hand. "However, as the saying goes, learn from your mistakes. In the future, you have to be more wary of that Lin Yi. Although the first grade and second grade cauldrons are expensive, our Hidden You family can afford to lose them. Let's forget about this matter." "Yes." Right Coiling Tiger said that, but he didn't agree with it in his heart. Let's forget about it? With Right Zhentian's strong personality, if it was someone else who cheated them of the Hidden You family stuff, how could he just let it go? But in the face of Lin Yi, how could he not let it go? Not only had Right 13 been eliminated, but the Hidden Zhao family's Earth-class late-phase master had also been killed by Lin Yi. If they wanted to fight against Lin Yi, they would have to send out a Sky-class master. However, it was obviously not worth it to offend the Heavenly Elixir sect by sending a Heaven Stage expert for Lin Yi. The Heavenly Elixir sect didn't dare to casually send a Heaven Stage expert to the secular world for the sake of balance. How could the Hidden You family dare to do so? "Oh right, the Hidden House Summit is about to be held. Your strength has also broken through to the early phase of the Mystic class. You should have 100% confidence in concocting a level 1 pill, right?" Yu Zhentian changed the topic and looked at Yu Coiling Tiger. "There should be no problem." Right Coiling Tiger nodded and said, "However, after I consume 2 spirit-gathering pills and raise my strength again, I should be more confident. When the time comes, there will be a competition for pill concocting. At that time, our Yu family might send you as the representative. After all, only your age is suitable." Yu Zhentian said, When the time comes, as long as you can concoct a level 1 pill, it will be your victory. After all, the other hidden houses don't have any alchemists participating. Those alchemists are all over 25 years old, which is outside of the competition rules. Ah, okay. Right, Coiling Tiger quickly nodded. Don't worry, uncle. If that's the case, then victory will definitely be mine. Okay, if that's the case, you can go back. Yu Zhentian said, you've lost this time. Next time, watch carefully before you make the same mistake. Yes, uncle. Right, Coiling Tiger let out a sigh of relief and turned to leave. Right, Zhentian really didn't have the mood to reprimand Right Coiling Tiger. All his thoughts were on the Hidden House Summit. To put it bluntly, this Hidden House Summit was actually an alliance of a few hidden houses to scam the Hidden House of Han. All the competitions were basically designed for each hidden house, and each hidden house had a competition that they were good at. For example, House Xiao was good at racing, and House Yu was good at concocting pills. This way, each hidden house would be able to obtain a treasure from the hidden house of Han in the end. This was also why Yu Zhentian didn't have the mood to reprimand Right Coiling Tiger. Another reason was that even if he reprimanded Right Coiling Tiger, what use would it be? Wasn't he, Yu Zhentian, still unable to do anything to Lin Yi? For a troublemaker like Lin Yi, unless they sent a Sky-class master to kill him, but if the ancient sects didn't agree, who would dare to send Sky-class masters outside? It had been a few months since the college entrance exams, but Zhong Pingliang still hadn't reported to school. It wasn't that he didn't want to go, but he hadn't thought of how to face Lin Yi and Meng Yao. Zhong Pingliang hated Lin Yi to the bone, but what was the use of hating him? Lin Yi was getting stronger and stronger, and even Zhang Naipeo wasn't his match. Even if Zhong Pingliang wanted to go against Lin Yi, he didn't have the strength and courage to do so. With Zhong Pingliang's college entrance exam results, he wouldn't even be able to get into a third-rate university, and it was the same for his follower, Gao Xiaofu. However, Zhong Fabai was rich. He gave Zhong Pingliang and Gao Xiaofu a huge sponsorship fee, and so the two became self-funded students of Donghai Industry University's joint college. The so-called joint college was a private university jointly run by a company and a university. Although the class location was the same as a regular university, the graduation certificate was different. The graduation certificate would have the name of the joint college written on it. Of course, for a rich kid like Zhong Pingliang, who didn't care about his graduation certificate, it didn't matter what was written on it. The school had lower requirements for self-funded students like this, and it didn't matter if they participated in military training or not. After all, most of the students here were just trying to get a degree, and they would all go to their family's business after graduation. Zhong Pingliang and Gao Xiaofu didn't report to school, not because they were lazy, but because they didn't want to. They didn't want to have to lower their heads, and so before they reported to school, he brought Gao Xiaofu to Zhang Naipeo's training ground, the Everyday and Everyday sect. This time, the two met with Naipeo without a hitch. At this moment, Naipeo's entire demeanor had changed. The arrogance and arrogance from before were gone, replaced with a sense of confidence and calmness. However, the pride in his bones was still there. Young bro. But no matter what, Zhang Naipeo's loyalty to Zhong Pingliang hadn't changed at all. Zhong Pingliang was just a normal person, but Naipeo didn't put on any airs in front of him at all. He cupped his fist respectfully like a little brother. Chapter 2065. Plus, he'd gotten smarter and more reserved after all these setbacks. He knew that his strength wasn't on the same level as Naipeo's, and he didn't want to put on airs and make Naipeo hate him. That way, they wouldn't be able to maintain their boss and follower relationship. Liang bro, you know what kind of person I am. Naipeo said. You're talking to me like that because you're afraid of me, and you're not treating me like a follower anymore. Liang bro, you're the savior of my family, and it's all because of Heibao bro's recommendation that I came to this everyday sect. It's all thanks to you, Liang bro. I, Naipeo, used to be your follower, and I'm still your follower. In this life, I only have one enemy, and that's Lin Yi. I have you as my boss, and I have a master, and that's the everyday sect. Naipeo's words were passionate, without a hint of pretense or falsehood. Pinliang was very touched. Good, pal. You're my good brother. Liang bro, I only have one goal in coming here, to deal with Lin Yi. Not only is he Liang Bro's enemy, he's my enemy as well. You don't have to do this, Liang Bro, Nai Peo said. It's just that I haven't completed the second stage yet, so I can't leave the mountain yet. But if there's a chance, I'll make sure to cripple that Lin Yi and bring him to you, Liang Bro, so that you can take care of Lin Yi. All right. Pin Liang nodded excitedly. Pow, what's your strength now? I'm an Earth class mid-phase now. With that, Nai Peo's eyes flashed with unwillingness. According to the news I received, Lin Yi can even kill an Earth class late phase so effortlessly. It seems like I won't be able to take on Lin Yi without reaching the second stage of his arts. What? Lin Yi's that strong? He can even kill an Earth class late phase? Pin Liang was shocked. Didn't they say that Lin Yi was a mystic late phase peak? When did he break through? I'm not sure either. Nai Peo shook his head. My information sources are limited as well. After all, our everyday sect can't keep an eye on Lin Yi all the time. This guy is really lucky. How did he improve so quickly? Pin Liang recalled Lin Yi's progress and felt a little discouraged. Looks like we're still being left behind by him. Don't worry, once I master the second stage, even if that Lin Yi is an Earth class late phase peak, as long as he's not a Sky class, I'll be able to beat him, Nai Peo said confidently. What's the saying? The first to get fat isn't considered fat. Wait for me to catch up. Oh, Pow, do you have a trump card? Pin Liang was overjoyed. Of course I have my trump cards. Nai Peo grinned. But Liang Bro, forgive me for keeping you in suspense. I'm restricted by my sect, and I can't say anything before I master the art. Haha, it's fine. I wouldn't understand even if you told me. As long as I can beat that Lin Yi, it's fine. Pin Liang said, the rest doesn't matter. It's great that you understand, Liang Bro. Nai Peo nodded. Liang Bro, as long as we tolerate that Lin Yi for now, I'll deal with him in the future. Let him be happy for a while. Man, Pow, you don't know this, but I actually have something to ask of you this time. Pin Liang sighed. As much as I've been tolerating him, I didn't think that I'd end up in the same university as Lin Yi. I heard that he's in that university, and I didn't even dare bring Fu there, afraid that Lin Yi would bully us. Oh, you're in the same university as Lin Yi? Nai Peo said, surprised. If that's the case, then there's going to be some conflict. Yeah, that's why I'm here to discuss this with you, pal, and see if there's any way to protect me from that Lin Yi. Pin Liang said, I'm your boss, after all, and you're a core disciple of the everyday sect now. If I get bullied, wouldn't you lose face as well? That's true. Nai Peo nodded. How about this? I'll talk to my master and see if he can take you in as an outer disciple and give you a good treasure. We don't need to bully people, but we need to have the ability to protect ourselves. Pow, you're too good to my boss. Pin Liang didn't think that Nai Peo would be this easygoing, asking his master for a treasure. Pin Liang had been thinking of using his relationship with Nai Peo to get him an outer disciple or a contact person for the everyday sect in the common world. That way, he wouldn't be able to suppress Lin Yi, but at least he'd be able to show off in school when Lin Yi wasn't around. As long as he didn't get into a direct conflict with Lin Yi, university life would be quite enjoyable. If he had to suppress himself for 4 years, it'd be worse than death. The last part of his 12th year in high school was already quite stressful for Pin Liang, and he'd finally gotten into university. He'd wanted to be known as the big boss or young bully of the school, but he'd have to face off against Lin Yi again. But among all the schools in Donghai, only Donghai Industry University had a school that accepted students who paid for their own students. The other schools didn't have this system, and Pin Liang had no other choice. Plus, he'd already paid up, and it would be hard for him to go to another school. Even if Fabai had some power in Songshan, he didn't have much in Donghai. He was only able to get into this school by paying for his own students. He didn't have the ability to transfer to another school. Liang Bro, I've been with you for so long. How could I not know what you're thinking? Nai Peo smiled. This treasure is something that Master promised to give to me back then, but once I master the second stage, I won't need it anymore. So I asked Master to give it to you. It's a golden cicada undergarment, and when you wear it, it can block attacks from anything below Sky Class. In other words, no one under Sky Class can hurt you. Ah, really? That's strong? Pinliang's eyes widened as he looked at Naipeo in disbelief. Chapter 2066. Naipeo's words were very clear. How could he not know what kind of person Pinliang was? Pinliang's goal in coming here was to borrow Naipeo's strength, to make himself more successful in the university. Since Pinliang wanted to be the school's boss, why wouldn't Naipeo let him have it? From this, one could see that Naipeo treated Pinliang with sincerity and wasn't the type to forget his roots. After all, the golden cicada undergarment was one of the treasures of the everyday and everyday sect. Although the master had agreed to give it to Naipeo, it was only because he was a core disciple of the everyday and everyday sect. Otherwise, there was no way he'd give something like this away so easily. But it wasn't easy for Naipeo to give this to Pinliang. Of course, it was also because his position in the everyday and everyday sect was getting higher and higher that he made this promise. He was now the next leader of the everyday and everyday sect, a role model for all the young disciples. But even so, convincing the master to give this treasure to an outsider was still a little difficult. "Thank you, pal," Pinliang said quickly. "Okay, Liang bro, wait here for me. I'll go ask the master." With that, Naipeo walked out of the room. After about the time it took to brew a pot of tea, Naipeo came back, but not by himself this time. He came with a stern-looking middle-aged man. This man was Naipeo's master, the current leader of the everyday and everyday sect. Naipeo had somehow managed to convince the master of the everyday and everyday sect to give the golden cicada undergarment to Pinliang. "Liang bro, this is my Shifu, the current head of the everyday and everyday sect, Pure Yang Sky Master. He's also the elder's last disciple." Naipeo introduced the man to Pinliang. "Disciple Zhong Pingliang greets master." Zhong Pingliang wasn't stupid. He knelt on the ground and bowed respectfully when he heard the man's identity. "Get up, since you're the boss of the common world. There's no need to be so polite," the master said faintly with a wave of his hand. "Yes, thank you, master." Pinliang quickly stood up and stood aside respectfully. "This golden cicada undergarment was originally the sect treasure of my everyday and everyday sect, but I've already promised to give it to Naipeo. Now that Naipeo wants to give it to you, it's clear that you have an extraordinary position in Naipeo's heart." The sect master said, "Therefore, for the sake of Naipeo's face, I will accept you as an in-name disciple. Like this, you will have the title of Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang's disciple outside. I don't think those ordinary powers will dare to have any ideas about you. You have to know that an ordinary man's wealth is his own ruin. Your disciple understands. Master, please accept a bow from your disciple." Zhong Pingliang was overjoyed and quickly bowed to his master. How could he not know that if he didn't have any backing and suddenly took out a good treasure, let alone those hidden houses, even a normal practitioner house would covet it? Now that he had the title of Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang's in-name disciple, anyone who dared to steal his treasure would be going against the everyday and everyday sect. That would be a huge crime. Normal houses wouldn't dare, hidden houses wouldn't dare, and ancient sects, even if they knew about this treasure, wouldn't dare to do anything to Zhong Pingliang because of their pride, unless they met the archenemy of the everyday and everyday sect. But the archenemy of the everyday and everyday sect, other than Lin Yi, didn't have any. In the ancient world, if one wanted to become an enemy of the everyday and everyday sect, they would have to weigh their own strength first. "Very well," said the sect leader. "I'll bestow this golden cicada undergarment to you. In a moment, I'll give you a command medallion. It's a keepsake for being a disciple of the everyday and everyday sect. If anyone comes looking for trouble, you can show them your keepsake." "Yes, your disciple understands," Zhong Pingliang quickly replied. "Since you're here, you can stay here for a few days. Naipeo, cultivation requires a balance between work and rest. You can stay with Pinliang these few days," the sect master said with a wave of his hand. Since he had taken Zhong Pinliang in as an in-name disciple, he would naturally call him Pinliang. "Bring him around our everyday and everyday sect." "Yes, sect master," Naipeo said. These few days, Han Jingjing had been studying elixir refinement and elixir refinement. During the day, She would write and draw on her tablet, and at night, she would practice elixir refinement until midnight before going to bed. As a result, she would wake up with either rabbit eyes or panda eyes. Han Jingjing's hard work made Lin Yi very emotional as well. It seemed like her obsession with elixir refinement wasn't normal at all. These few days, the first thing Xinyan did when she saw Lin Yi in the classroom was to take off her jacket, unbutton her shirt, or put on a shirt with a wide collar. What surprised Lin Yi was that Xinyan didn't even seem to be wearing a bra. This made Lin Yi feel a little guilty. Lin Yi wanted to remind her a few times that not wearing a bra might affect the beauty of her chest, but he was too embarrassed to bring it up. At the end of the day, Xinyan was doing this so that her body fragrance could spread out more for Lin Yi's training. And so Lin Yi was grateful and helpless at the same time. He didn't want Xinyan to be affected because of him. Actually, you can wear a bra? Lin Yi couldn't help but remind her. It's already good enough. You don't have to do it anymore. I didn't. Xinyan blushed. It's just that the bra size was a little too small. I didn't buy a new one. Of course, Wang Xinyan wouldn't admit what she was trying to achieve by doing this. Haha, I know. Lin Yi said that, but he didn't know what he knew. The next day, however, Xinyan went back to wearing a bra, but under the jacket was a loose t-shirt. Perhaps this would allow the scent of her body to spread out better. Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganhe, on the other hand, had temporarily disappeared. Bai Weituo went to ask around, but it wasn't that the two had stopped, but that they were in the hospital after being bitten by a lion. It was a bite, after all, and the two didn't really want to go to class. They had an excuse to skip school and rest for a few days, so why not? Chapter 2067. Every day after class, he Coiling Tiger would leave the classroom with his two subordinates. In fact, it wasn't that he Coiling Tiger wanted to let Lin Yi go, but he really didn't have any good ideas to deal with Lin Yi. He wanted to mess with Lin Yi, but he didn't have any good ideas, and he didn't have any good opportunities. Plus, he was busy concocting pills after school, trying to win the Hidden House Summit. Naturally, he didn't have time to deal with Lin Yi. During this period, Lin Yi was worried about Su Shihan. He gave her a call and asked if she met any criminals after she went back, but Su Shihan said that she was safe, and there were no suspicious people who attacked her. This made Lin Yi relax. In the blink of an eye, it was the 13th of this month, 2 days before the Hidden House Summit. The rules of the competition had been sent to all the hidden houses, and Lin Yi met Han Xiaopa as promised. This time, Han Xiaopa called after school. Lin Yi had already told Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and Han Jingjing about the Hidden House Summit, and that he might be away for a few days. For safety reasons, Lin Yi let them stay in the school dorm, not letting them go to school alone. Although, from the current situation, Lin Yi's enemies had basically all stopped. At least they didn't have any plans to deal with Lin Yi in the near future, so the Miss and the others shouldn't be in danger, but staying in the school was safer. Boss. Han Xiaopa saw Lin Yi and waved at Lin Yi impatiently. He had been waiting for a long time in the parking lot of the school. You came? Lin Yi nodded and said, Where are we going now? Boss, if you don't have anything to do, stay at my house tonight. Tomorrow is the registration day for the Hidden House Summit, and the competition will officially start the day after tomorrow. We need to study the rules of the competition in advance. Han Xiaopa said, Are you worried about your strength? Lin Yi smiled faintly as he glanced at Han Xiaopa. Actually, it would be a lie to say that I'm not worried. After all, there are less than 2 days left, and I'm so weak. If I really participate in the duos match, I'll definitely be a burden. Han Xiaopa didn't pretend to be fake as he spoke the truth. 2 days, that's enough. Lin Yi said casually. Han Xiaopa was slightly taken aback. He did not understand how Lin Yi could improve his strength in 2 days, but since he had already recognized Lin Yi as his boss, he should trust Lin Yi. Hence, he said, I'll listen to you, boss. Let's go. We'll go to your hidden Han family first, Lin Yi said. Okay, boss, please get in the car. Han Xiaopa was still driving the Mercedes-Benz S600. He respectfully opened the door and let Lin Yi in. Then, he sat in the driver's seat and started the car. As he drove, he said, Boss, the ingredients for the qi-gathering pill have already been prepared. When you arrive at the hidden Han family, you'll have it with both hands. That's not urgent. Lin Yi actually didn't want to steal the hidden Han family's treasure. It was just that Han Xiaopa was a little too impatient and wanted to prove his intentions, so he took out such a good thing. But since this thing was useful to Lin Yi, there was no reason for Lin Yi to reject it. The hidden Han family's location was not in the city of Donghai City, but in the suburbs of Donghai City. At the edge of a small town in the suburbs of Donghai City, there was a very large manor. There was no sign or house number, but it had a very high wall. If one came here for the first time, they might even think that this was the location of a prison. In fact, this was also the first impression that this place gave to Lin Yi. The appearance of this manor was not eye-catching, and it was very low-key. Not many people would notice it, but this was the location of the hidden Han family. This was Lin Yi's first time visiting a hidden family, so he was a little curious about the buildings here. So this was the so-called hidden family. It really was a family hidden in the city. However, in Lin Yi's memory, he had been to a hidden family once before, but he had no memory of the specific location. Could it be a dream? Han Xiaopa's car stopped at an inconspicuous entrance of this manor. Although this entrance was inconspicuous, a normal car would definitely not open the door so easily. It was probably because they saw Han Xiaopa's car through the security camera, so the manor's gate opened automatically. The security here is quite strict. This gate's design is not simple, Lin Yi said as he looked at the gate of the manor. With Lin Yi's experience and eyesight, not only could he see that the design of this gate was a little special, it should be anti-theft and anti-intrusion. Oh, boss, you know these things too? Han Xiaopa was a little surprised. The gate of the hidden Han family was indeed designed by a professional security designer. It had anti-theft and anti-intrusion functions, and it could send out a warning signal if someone broke in or tried to pry open the door. It could also release a high voltage in an instant. Even a normal cultivator would not be able to withstand this high voltage. Unless it was someone who had a body that was impervious to weapons, water, and fire, such as the Golden Bell Shield and the Iron Shirt, they would be able to avoid this kind of injury. Therefore, this kind of security was not said to be lax. I know a thing or two, Lin Yi said calmly. Although this gate looked relatively safe, Lin Yi had a way to deal with it, but Lin Yi did not say it out loud. Hee, boss is really knowledgeable and multi-talented. Han Xiaopa was sincerely impressed. It's already very impressive for a normal cultivator to be able to cultivate wholeheartedly and have some achievements in the path of cultivation. But boss, not only do you know alchemy, you also know how to race, and you also know these security measures. It's really admirable, especially when your strength is not ordinary. After the car entered the gate, it did not take long before it came to a guard booth. This was where the hidden Han family's gate guards were located. Although the Mercedes-Benz license plate belonged to the hidden Han family, it could only pass the first level. For the second level, it still needed to be checked manually. Young Master Pa. However, after the gate guards walked over and saw that the person driving was Han Xiaopa, they immediately did not stop him. After greeting him respectfully, they opened the railing and let the car smoothly enter the hidden Han family's manor. It seems that your position in the hidden Han family is quite high? Lin Yi asked when he saw the gate guard's reaction. Chapter 2068. Since he had recognized Lin Yi as his boss, sometimes he had to show off his abilities and let Lin Yi know how capable he was. Outstanding descendants are the middle phase of the golden class. Lin Yi sighed. This hidden house Han really wasn't good enough. They had no foundation and only became a hidden house after unearthing an ancient ruin. No wonder so many hidden houses coveted them. In the end, they were just too weak. The descendants of the other hidden houses were all mystic or even earth class. Their golden class was already outstanding. They really couldn't compare. There's no other way. Han Xiaopa smiled bitterly. Our family doesn't have any teachers to guide us. Almost everyone in our family got their strength through taking pills and treasures. We didn't train ourselves. It's the same for my father's generation, and it's even more so for our generation. Although we also train, because we fumble around on our own, we always take the wrong path. Lin Yi looked at Han Xiaopa beside him, feeling like they were in the same boat. The hidden house Han had good pills and treasures, but they didn't have a master to guide them, and they were already in this state. He didn't have any pills or treasures, nor did he have a master to guide him. This was the difference between them. Fortunately, he had a good mental cultivation method and the determination to work hard. That was why he was able to keep up with the disciples of the hidden families and ancient sections. Otherwise, he would have been left behind thousands of miles away. Since there are pills, why didn't your father's generation and your generation just take them and level up to the Earth class like your grandfather? Linny asked. Grandfather is the head of the house, and the ancient ruin was discovered by him. Naturally, he has the priority to take the pills. Xiaopa explained. The family's pills are all given to grandfather first. But above the Earth class, these pills aren't very useful, except for the chi-gathering pill. But they're just ingredients and can't be refined. What about the others? Did your grandfather eat them all? Linny nodded. The others naturally have some as well. Actually, in the ancient ruins that we've discovered, there are a lot of spirit-gathering pills. However, even if there are a lot of them, we can't afford to use them like this. Xiaopa said, depending on your talent, a normal person would need around 10 soul-gathering pills to reach the peak of the late phase of the golden class. If you want to break through to the mystic class, you'll need 20 soul-gathering pills or 1 soul-gathering pill. So, there isn't enough? After listening to Xiaopa's explanation, Lin Yi understood a little. The spirit-gathering pill was a yellow class level 1 pill, and a yellow class level 1 pill refiner could refine it. However, the spirit-gathering pill was a yellow class level 2 pill refiner, and only a yellow class level 2 pill refiner could refine it. Moreover, the success rate was much lower than the spirit-gathering pill, and the ingredients were much more precious. Therefore, the value of 20 spirit-gathering pills added together was not as much as 1 spirit-gathering pill. There were many hidden families with first-grade alchemists who wanted to use 20 or more spirit-gathering pills to exchange for a single spirit-gathering pill, but they had nowhere to go. Yeah, even if there's a lot, we can't afford to eat like this. My current strength is the result of eating 3 spirit-gathering pills, and that's considered a good talent. For those with poor talent, 3 spirit-gathering pills can only make them into the early phase of the golden class. Xiaopa said, there are so many people in the family, and my parents spent a lot of spirit-gathering pills to become mystic, so there's not much left for the 3rd generation. Although it's enough for us juniors to enter the mystic class, it's too wasteful. Let's not talk about the future, but we have to think about the future generations. Can mystic go from the Earth class to the mystic class through pills as well? Linny asked. Yes. A master at the peak of the late phase of the mystic class can enter the Earth class with 20 soul-gathering pills or 1 small chi-gathering pill. Xiaopa said, Grandpa used a small chi-gathering pill to become an Earth class, but his strength hasn't improved much these years. Does your family have more of these pills? Linny wanted to cry after hearing Xiaopa's explanation. One could become an Earth class just by eating pills? The disciples of the ancient sects and hidden houses had too much of an advantage, didn't they? Of course, lesser chi-gathering pills were not common anymore, unless it was the heavenly elixir sect, which could be said to have them whenever they wanted. Or those who were on good terms with the heavenly elixir sect could get their hands on a few. Other hidden families, or even ancient sects and ancient families, would have to pay a certain price to get their hands on one. This was enough to show how precious lesser chi-gathering pills were. There's 2 more. Xiaopa only hesitated for a moment before telling the truth. Boss, you want them? I can ask Grandpa for you. I don't want them. Linny smiled at Xiaopa's words. They're for you to use. At this moment, Lin Yi completely acknowledged Xiaopa as a person. This kid treated him pretty well, and he didn't have any ulterior motives. If he was secretive, Lin Yi would have to reconsider his attitude towards him. But Xiaopa was willing to spill all of his family's secrets without holding back. It was enough to show his loyalty. Otherwise, if he didn't really want to be Lin Yi's follower, and these secrets were leaked, it would be enough to make their hidden house get destroyed even faster. Me. Xiaopa paused. With my current strength, even if I eat a small chi-gathering pill, I can at most jump to the peak of the late phase of the golden class. It's a waste. Hee, you'll know when the time comes. Lin Yi didn't explain for now, but he sighed inwardly. If he'd known this Xiaopa earlier, Why would he have eaten a chi-gathering pill? It was a waste of heavenly gifts. A small chi-gathering pill was enough. When he leveled up to the Earth class, wouldn't eating a chi-gathering pill increase his strength even more? But now, the situation was reversed. Eating a chi-gathering pill first, and then a small chi-gathering pill. It was completely useless. But then again, if Linny wasn't an Earth class and was still stuck at the Mystic class, the hidden house of Han wouldn't have come looking for him. In fact, he would have died in the previous few confrontations. So Linny only sighed and didn't regret it too much. Since Lin Yi didn't want to talk about it in detail, Han Xiaopa naturally didn't ask. He knew that when the time came, Lin Yi would say it. Chapter 2069. Han Tianba, on the other hand, had already received the news from the guards at the entrance. He was already waiting at the entrance of the meeting hall with a group of descendants. Han Tianba didn't dare to be careless with Lin Yi. Lin Yi was an existence that could easily kill an Earth-class late-phase master. It would be a piece of cake for him to destroy the entire hidden Han family. Han Tianba, on the other hand, was only an Earth-class early-phase peak. Han Xiaopa also saw his grandfather's group welcoming Lin Yi from afar. He paused for a moment, but quickly understood his grandfather's intentions. The hidden Han family was going to make a big bet this time. Since they were going to give away the ingredients for the chi-gathering pill, then they would tie the entire Han family's profits to Lin Yi's. Although Lin Yi had many enemies, no matter what, with Lin Yi's strong presence, the hidden Han family's situation would be much better than before. Lin Yi had many enemies, but how many would actually dare to touch Lin Yi? The hidden Han family had become Lin Yi's men. If anyone wanted to touch the hidden Han family, they would have to ask Lin Yi's permission first. Seeing that the hidden Han family had such a big lineup, Lin Yi was a little surprised. He got off the car with Han Xiaopa, and Han Tianba walked over. "Mr. Lin, your presence brings light to my humble home." Han Tianba smiled and cupped his fist at Lin Yi. "Don't be so polite, Mr. Han. Since Xiaopa is my little brother, then he and I are of the same generation. It's not wrong for me to call you Grandpa Han." Lin Yi said, "Haha, on the path of martial arts, it's all about the strong. We're not related by blood, so this seniority is only based on strength, not age." Han Tianba waved his hand dismissively. "Mr. Lin, you can easily kill a late-phase Earth-class master, and I'm just a peak early-phase Earth-class master. It's not wrong for me to call Mr. Lin senior brother or senior brother. You're being too polite. All right, it's up to you. I'll still call you Elder Han." Lin Yi did not force it. This was the rule of the cultivators. Lin Yi and Han Tianba were not related by blood, so it was not wrong to judge their seniority based on their strength. "Mr. Lin, I've already prepared a banquet in the meeting hall. I'm just waiting for Mr. Lin to take a seat." Han Tianba smiled and made an inviting gesture. "Xiaopa, bring Mr. Lin to his table." "Yes, Grandpa." Han Xiaopa's heart was extremely pleased at the moment. His grandfather's attitude couldn't be clearer, and he was Lin Yi's little brother. His status in the Han family was self-evident. Seeing Han Xiaochun's envious, jealous, and hateful gaze, Han Xiaopa knew that he must be regretting missing out on a good opportunity to interact with Lin Yi. Lin Yi followed Han Xiaopa into the meeting hall and saw that the banquet was already prepared. The cold dishes were already prepared, but the hot dishes had not yet been served. It was obvious that the dishes would only be served after Lin Yi and the others were seated. Lin Yi sat down. Only then did Han Tianba and the rest of the family take their seats. Han Xiaopa sat on Lin Yi's left, and Han Tianba sat on Lin Yi's right. It was enough to show that Han Xiaopa's current status was extraordinary. "Mr. Lin, welcome. Before the banquet begins, would you like to give the hidden Han family a lecture?" Han Tianba asked respectfully after he took his seat. "Lecture?" Lin Yi smiled bitterly and shook his head. "I'm not their elder or master. There's no need to lecture them. Besides, I'm not that difficult to talk to. Since they're all Xiaopa's family, then do as you please." "All right, since Mr. Lin says, then let's do as you please. Let's begin." Han Tianba waved at the disciples on the side, signaling them to start serving the dishes. The ingredients for the dishes were all prepared, and under Han Tianba's command, the chef started working. Very soon, the dishes were on the table. Although Han Tianba said that they could do as they please, no one dared to touch their chopsticks before Lin Yi. They only dared to eat after Lin Yi had a taste of each dish. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was really starving. He didn't hold back. He had to eat every day when he came back to the villa, so he just started eating. But every time he ate, Lin Yi would think of Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao shouldn't be lacking food in the Ice Palace now, right? Mr. Lin, on behalf of Hidden House Han, I propose a toast to you. Han Tianba raised his glass when he saw that Lin Yi was almost done eating. As for Lin Yi eating like a tornado, no one dared to say anything. This was the difference between strong and strong. People could only say that Lin Yi was generous when he saw Lin Yi like this. But if it was someone weaker, that person wouldn't know the rules. All right, Lin Yi replied faintly and raised his glass as well. As for Han Xiaopa, he poured himself a glass of wine and stood up as well. Mr. Lin, the fate of our hidden family lies in your hands during this hidden family summit. Han Tianba said. Xiaopa promised that you'll represent Hidden House Han in the competition, and no matter how much you win, it'll all be yours to use, including House Han's. Plus, after you win, you can choose some things you need from Hidden House Han's treasury. Han Tianba understood that he'd rather give all of these things to Lin Yi. Even if it was a bit more, it was better than giving it to the other hidden houses. If he gave it to Lin Yi would be able to protect them, but if he gave it to the other hidden houses, they'd only get greedier. With this sweet taste, there'd be all sorts of competitions, tests, summits, and social gatherings in the future. There would only be one goal, and that was to squeeze all the treasures from the ancient ruins dry. That way, not only would Hidden House Han be tired of dealing with the hidden houses, but their position among the hidden houses would also become weaker and weaker. They'd be bullied and bullied. Not only would they lose their position, but they'd also lose all their treasures. It'd be extremely difficult for them to make a comeback. But things were different if they gave the treasures to Lin Yi. With Lin Yi's reputation, the hidden houses wouldn't dare to do anything forceful. Even if Lin Yi only won the race, it didn't matter, because Hidden House Han had announced to the world that they were Lin Yi's men. After this, if they wanted to scam him again, they'd have to see if Lin Yi agreed to it. Chapter 2070. All right, I'll look into the rules and events after dinner to see which ones to participate in. Lin Yi nodded. Thank you, Mr. Lin, Han Tianba said. After dinner, Lin Yi didn't talk much with Han Tianba. Instead, he asked Han Xiaopa to bring him to a place to rest and study the rules of the Hidden House Summit. Boss, are you satisfied with the environment here? Han Xiaopa asked carefully as he brought Lin Yi to the guest room. Hee, I'm not too particular about where I live. This place is good enough. From Lin Yi's point of view, this place was even better than his own villa. This must be a guest room that the Hidden House of Han would only use when they receive their guests. Also, you don't have to be so careful in front of me. Since you're my follower, you should be more easygoing. I'll introduce you to my other followers in the future. Okay, boss. Han Xiaopa nodded, but he probably wouldn't be able to let it go so easily. All right, let's talk about the Hidden House Summit first. What are the events? Lin Yi asked. Yes, boss. I'll tell you about the competition now. As Han Xiaopa spoke, he took out a document and said, These are the rules and regulations jointly issued by the elder families of the Hidden House Summit. Elder families? Lin Yi snorted coldly. Setting up events that are beneficial to them? Ugh, you could say that, but they wouldn't dare to go too far. It's just that our Hidden House of Han is too weak. The events they choose don't have an absolute advantage. Han Xiaopa said with a bitter smile. Lin Yi nodded. Han Xiaopa's words made sense, but the problem was that the Hidden House Hans really didn't have the strength to compete with the other hidden houses. Even if they were against you, you had to be strong in some way, as long as you weren't too weak. This racing competition is definitely going to happen. The rules of the Hidden House Summit also mention this competition. The car for the competition has already been confirmed. It is indeed the Jetta that I heard about, Han Xiaopa said. Okay, any car is the same, Lin Yi said calmly. As long as everyone is using the same car, I have confidence in winning. Great. After Han Xiaopa heard Lin Yi's promise, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Lin Yi hadn't given him an exact promise before, So Han Xiaopo wasn't sure if Linny could win. Until now, when Linny told him in a very certain tone that he could win, he would definitely win. What about the others? Linny asked. There are also martial arts competitions, individual endurance competitions, individual fighting competitions, hidden weapon dodging competitions, individual arena competitions, duo arena competitions, alchemy competitions, poison identification competitions, and so on. Han Xiaopa said, but the details of the competitions haven't been released yet. At present, we only know these names. Lin Yi nodded. Although the details of these competitions were not out yet, he could basically understand the content of these competitions from the words. These hidden houses didn't deliberately target the hidden house Han. It was just that the hidden house Han really couldn't do it. There wasn't a single expert in these competitions. If he didn't participate, the final result would probably be a complete loss. These competitions, do we still have to place bets even if we don't participate? Linny asked. Of course we have to place bets, Han Xiaopa said. These are the rules of the competition. Even if we forfeit, we still have to place bets. Seems like they are really targeting you guys. Linny said. These competitions, when the details are out, I will look into it. If possible, I will register for a few more. But now it seems like we have a chance of winning the individual arena competition. Linny didn't go too far with his words. He might be able to win the other matches, but he wasn't sure if he'd have an advantage in any of them before the details were out. Still, he could give the single arena a try. If there weren't too strong of an opponent, winning shouldn't be too much of a problem. Great. Boss, you are awesome. Han Xiaopa slapped his thigh and shouted excitedly. This way, our hidden house Han has a chance of winning 2 competitions. This way, we won't lose too much in this hidden house summit. At the very least, when others try to scheme against us in the future, they will have to think about whether or not it'll be a thankless effort. Han Xiaopa was right. If this competition was specifically targeted at the hidden family of Han, then every hidden family would choose a competition that they had an advantage in. However, if the hidden family of Han won 2 rounds in a row, then 2 hidden families would be at a disadvantage. Then, the next time they schemed against the hidden house Han, these 2 hidden houses wouldn't be so proactive. When that time came, they probably wouldn't participate. Didn't you want to be the champion of the duo arena competition? Linny asked with a smile. Yeah, but my strength? Han Xiaopa thought about his own strength and shook his head. There's only 1 day left. The hidden house summit is the day after tomorrow. No matter how hard I try, I can't be on par with boss. Go get that little chi gathering pill, Linny said. Oh, now? Han Xiaopa froze when he heard Lin Yi's non-committal question. Yes, now. Linny nodded. This? Okay. Although Han Xiaopa was a little suspicious as to why Lin Yi wanted him to get the pill now, he still stood up and left the room. After walking for a while, Han Xiaopa saw Han Tianba's figure. Xiaopa. Han Tianba quickly walked up to him. How is it? How many competitions did Mr. Lin agree to participate in? Do you have a chance of winning? Grandpa, boss agreed to participate in the racing and single arena competitions, Han Xiaopa said. Han Xiaopa said, the racer boss said he's confident of winning, and he also has a chance of winning the single elimination tournament. Good, that's great. Han Tianba said happily. This is already beyond our expectations. If we can win in both competitions, then the 2 hidden houses that schemed against us will be at a disadvantage. When that happens, they won't be able to split the spoils evenly. Let's see if they still want to deal with us in the future. Yes, that's right, Han Xiaopa said. And with boss participating, they'll be a little more cautious in the future. That's right, Han Tianba nodded. He then remembered to ask Han Xiaopa, why did you come out now? Don't you want to spend more time with Mr. Lin? Chapter 2071. Small Qi Gathering Pill? Han Tianba paused. What do you want a small Qi Gathering Pill for at this time? I don't know, but boss must have his reasons, Han Xiaopa said. All right, come with me. Han Tianba said. Bring the materials for the Qi Gathering Pill to Mr. Lin as well. Han Xiaopa nodded and followed Han Tianba to the hidden Han family's treasure vault. The hidden Han family's treasure vault was located in the most secretive place in the entire Han family's manor. Its security was no less than that of a large bank's vault. Other than a password and key, it could only be opened with Han Tianba's fingerprint. After entering the treasure vault, Han Tianba didn't linger. He took out the materials for the qi-gathering pill and a small qi-gathering pill and gave them to Han Xiaopa. Everything is here. Bring them to Mr. Lin. I won't be going. I'll sort out some treasures for the Hidden House Summit. Yes, Grandpa. Han Xiaopa nodded and carefully carried the seal bag and the pill box to Lin Yi's room. After returning to Lin Yi's room, Han Xiaopa placed the two items on the table in front of Lin Yi. You're back. What's this? Lin Yi asked when he saw Han Xiaopa bring two items. These are the materials for the qi-gathering pill. Han Xiaopa pointed at the seal bag, then at the pill box, saying, Inside is the small qi-gathering pill. Oh? Lin Yi nodded. You brought the materials for the qi-gathering pill too? Yes, since I promised boss, of course I had to bring them. Han Xiaopa said. All right. Lin Yi opened the seal bag and looked inside. It really was the materials for the qi-gathering pill. Lin Yi had the recipe for the qi-gathering pill, so Lin Yi naturally remembered what was written on it. These materials were roughly enough to refine about 5 qi-gathering pills. Lin Yi did not stand on ceremony and immediately put them away. He did not even bother to examine the small qi-gathering pill. Instead, he pointed at Han Xiaopa and said, You, sit over here. Yes. Han Xiaopa didn't know what Lin Yi wanted to do, but she still sat down respectfully beside Lin Yi's sofa. In a while, don't mention what I'm going to do to anyone, including your grandfather. Lin Yi said, Can you do this? Yes. Han Xiaopa nodded without hesitation. He had a premonition that the reason why Lin Yi had asked him to bring the pill was definitely not simple. There had to be something inside that he didn't know. Perhaps Lin Yi could activate the effect of the pill and allow him to go from the middle phase of the golden class to the early phase of the mystic class? No, the early phase of the mystic class was a bit of a waste. Could it be the middle phase of the mystic class? All right, give me your hands and start channeling your cultivation method at full force, Lin Yi said. Oh, full force? Now? Han Xiaopa was slightly taken aback. Yes, Lin Yi said. When I say start, you start? Oh, okay. Han Xiaopa was even more confused, but he still nodded in agreement. Lin Yi grabbed Han Xiaopa's hands and buckled his pulse. Then, he channeled the second stage of the art of dragon mastery and said, You can start now. As soon as Lin Yi's voice fell, Han Xiaopa started channeling his Nigong. In a split second, a wave of pure true qi was transferred from Lin Yi to Han Xiaopa's arm through the meridians. Han Xiaopa was shocked and horrified. However, even though Han Xiaopa was shocked, he didn't stop. He followed Lin Yi's instructions and channeled his Nigong at full force. In the next moment, Han Xiaopa felt an overwhelming amount of true qi rush into his body. It was as if this true qi was tailor-made for him. As long as he channeled the Nigong and absorbed it into his body, his strength would increase at a speed that he could feel. Although Han Xiaopa didn't know how Lin Yi did it, he knew that Lin Yi must have given him some benefits. The second stage of the art of dragon mastery was much faster than the first stage. Han Xiaopa was a middle phase of the golden class, but his strength was rapidly increased by Lin Yi. Peak of the middle phase of the golden class, late phase of the golden class, peak of the late phase of the golden class, full completion of the late phase of the golden class, straight to the mystic class. This was the second time that Lin Yi leveled up a golden class to the mystic class without any hindrance. There was no sense of a barrier between levels. Han Jingjing was like this before, and now Han Xiaopa was the same. Was there a connection? If there was a connection between these two, it would be that they both had the surname Han. However, Lin Yi was more inclined to think that this was the effect of the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. When helping people level up with the first stage of the art of dragon mastery, whether it was in terms of speed or level barrier, it was not as refreshing as the second stage. Before, Lin Yi thought that Han Jingjing's auxiliary alchemist art didn't have a level barrier, but now it seemed that it wasn't the case. It was just that compared to the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, there was no barrier. Han Xiaopa was surprised to feel his strength skyrocketing. From the golden class to the early phase of the mystic class, and that wasn't all. After reaching the mystic class, his strength was still increasing. Could it be that this was the legendary skill transfer? But at this time, Han Xiaopa didn't dare to question it. He only thought about it in his heart, his whole body still focused on absorbing the pure qi that Lin Yi was transferring to him. Mystic late phase, peak of the late phase. Mystic late phase full circle, only one step away from the Earth class. At this time, the pure qi transfer from Lin Yi's side came to an abrupt stop. All right, that's enough. Take this little qi gathering pill. After that, you'll be in early phase of the Earth class. Lin Yi pointed at the small qi gathering pill on the table. He was a little envious of Han Xiaopa's luck. It was extremely difficult for Lin Yi to break through himself, but it was easy for him to help others. All right, Han Xiaopa had a lot of questions in his heart, but since Lin Yi told him to take the pill now, he took it without hesitation. After that, a wave of pure energy spread in his abdomen. This wasn't the first time Han Xiaopa had taken a pill. He quickly closed his eyes and activated his Nigong, trying his best to dissolve this pure energy. Lin Yi didn't disturb him, but sat on the side to protect him. Chapter 2072. Plus, this pill was only useful when a mystic late phase peak was about to break through to the Earth class. The effect wouldn't be as great after reaching the Earth class, and the increase in strength would be very limited. So it was better to let Han Xiaopa take it now. The effect of the lesser qi gathering pill wasn't as strong as the qi gathering pill, but Lin Yi had experienced it when he broke through from mystic late phase peak to the Earth class. That kind of torment was very painful for any practitioner, and Han Xiaopa wasn't any better. But Lin Yi believed that this bit of difficulty was nothing to Han Xiaopa. If he couldn't even get through this pain, then he'd have no future. When the qi around Han Xiaopa thinned out, Lin Yi knew that Han Xiaopa had completed his breakthrough. He was officially an Earth-class early phase master, stepping into the ranks of practitioners. As expected, Han Xiaopa opened his eyes, surprised and happy. He reached out his hands in disbelief. "Boss, I'm an Earth-class early phase master now?" "Earth-class early phase, of course." Lin Yi nodded calmly. This is amazing." Han Xiaopa still felt like he was in a dream. "Boss, is this the legendary transfer of strength?" "You can think of it that way," Lin Yi said. "But remember, don't tell anyone about this." "I know." Han Xiaopa nodded. "Even if Grandpa asks, I won't say anything." In actuality, Han Xiaopa had gathered a large amount of qi around him when he broke through. This was the difference between his breakthrough and Lin Yi's transfer of strength. When Lin Yi transferred strength, he would use the qi, unless he used compressed qi to help someone break through. Normally, he wouldn't use qi when he helped someone break through. The spiritual energy that Han Xiaopa had mobilized naturally attracted the attention of all the cultivators in the hidden Han family, especially Old Man Han, Han Tianba. However, Han Tianba rationally told his family not to disturb or ask about it. Regardless of whether it was Lin Yi or Han Xiaopa who broke through, it would be beneficial to the hidden Han family, so why bother asking about it? As long as you don't speak nonsense, you'll be rewarded in the future. Earth class late phase peak and sky class is not impossible. Lin Yi said faintly, "This is the benefit of being my follower." "Yes, boss." Han Xiaopa's eyes were burning with passion. Earth class late phase peak? Or even heaven rank? This was a realm that Han Xiaopa could only dream of reaching in the past. Now, it was no longer so unreachable. Above the Earth class, the only pill that can be taken is the qi gathering pill, but even I can't refine it now, let alone your family. Lin Yi said faintly, "Your aptitude isn't very good. So there's no point in continuing to cultivate by yourself. I don't think you'll make any progress, so if you have the time, you'd better study martial skills. As for your strength, when I reach a higher realm, I'll help you increase it again." Lin Yi didn't directly explain that his improved strength could no longer absorb heaven and earth qi through his own cultivation, but from the fact that Han Xiaopa was still able to use the qi gathering pill, it was clear that the energy from the pill was still very effective for practitioners like Lin Yi. Lin Yi himself was also an example. Yes, Han Xiaopa naturally believed whatever Lin Yi said. He didn't doubt Lin Yi's words at all. If his aptitude was good, would he still be in the middle phase of the golden class? So what Lin Yi told him was priceless advice. If he wanted Han Xiaopa to study martial skills, then he would study martial skills. As for the matter of increasing his strength, that would be left to Lin Yi. But Han Xiaopa was a little surprised. Even if Lin Yi could impart his strength, where did Lin Yi's pure qi come from? Why did it look like Lin Yi wasn't affected in any way? Or was he still as spirited as ever, without the slightest bit of pure qi loss? You'll study the techniques tomorrow. You'll be on the stage with me during the double arena. Lin Yi said, you just need to protect yourself. I'll take care of the enemy. Okay, boss. I won't let you down. Han Xiaopa was surprised and happy. If the Hidden House of Han were to win another match, then it would be even more of a deterrent to those hidden families who were plotting against the Hidden House of Han. They would be shooting themselves in the foot. Then which hidden house do you think is stronger in the duel? Lin Yi asked. I think this match is designed for the Hidden House of Zhuang. Han Xiaopa said, I heard that the two brothers from the Hidden House of Zhuang have been training hard ever since they came back from the Ice Palace trial. They've also taken some spiritual medicine, and their strength has increased to mid and peak Earth class. Plus, their martial skills complement each other, so their chances of winning are very high. Oh, Niao Zhuang. Niao Zhuang? Lin Yi, naturally, knew about the Hidden House of Zhuang. These two had been kissing Naipeo's ass during the Ice Palace trial, but when Lin Yi crippled Naipeo, they were begging for mercy and calling him Masterling. It was only natural that Lin Yi had some impression of these two pieces of trash. That's right. Han Xiaopa nodded. Boss, you've heard of them? I've heard of them, but I didn't think that their strength would have increased so much, Lin Yi said with a sigh. Not at first, but I heard that the Hidden House of Zhuang bought 2 qi gathering pills from the Hidden House of Tang at a high price. Plus, the two brothers took a lot of spiritual medicine, so their strength increased by leaps and bounds. Han Xiaopa explained. Hidden House of Tang? Lin Yi frowned. The name sounded familiar, as if he'd heard it somewhere before, but it didn't seem like he had anything to do with it. That's right, it's a hidden house as well. I heard that their ancestor was a disciple of the Tang sect, and they're experts in hidden weapons and poison, Han Xiaopa explained. I'm afraid that this hidden weapon evasion match will be won by the Hidden House of Tang. I don't know how the Hidden House Zhuang managed to get the Hidden House Tang to sell them 2 little qi gathering pills. Lin Yi was a little surprised. These little qi gathering pills had to be very precious. Chapter 2073. Needless to say, Han Xiaopa was a very smart person. His guess was not far from the truth. This time, the Hidden House's conspiracy against the Hidden House of Han was indeed for the Hidden House of Yu and the Hidden House of Tang to monopolize all 3 rounds, and the price they had to pay was to give each of the other houses some pills. Identifying poison? Although this is a bit difficult, I'll reluctantly take it. Lin Yi laughed coldly and said, Small qi gathering pills, let them give it up for nothing. Huh. No way, boss, you're good at poison too? Han Xiaopa was surprised. I'm even better at detoxification. Lin Yi shrugged. Actually, I have another identity. I'm a doctor. Haha, boss, you're too awesome. You're an all-rounder. Han Xiaopa said excitedly. It seems like there's nothing you can't do. This is great. Our Hidden House of Han is going to be awesome. Those hidden houses can go to hell. Don't be too happy yet. You're already an Earth class master. Tomorrow? It should be today. Choose a martial art to cultivate. Since your Hidden House of Han found the ancient ruins, there must be a lot of martial arts, Lin Yi said. It was already the morning of the second day. Both of them were practitioners, so they weren't sleepy. Although Han Xiaopa didn't have the jade cultivation space to replenish his energy, he had just broken through, so he was full of energy. Then let's go now. Boss, you can give me some advice on what martial arts I should learn, Han Xiaopa said. I'll go find Grandpa now and ask him to bring us to the treasure vault. That's good. I'd like to see your collection of martial arts. Lin Yi didn't hide his intentions. All right, if there's something suitable for you, boss, you can make a copy. Han Xiaopa didn't mind at all, as if it was supposed to be for Lin Yi to see. As they spoke, they walked out of the room and headed towards Elder Han's residence. Today was destined to be a sleepless night. Although Elder Han had returned to his room, he didn't sleep. Instead, he closed his eyes and fantasized about how the Hidden House of Han would amaze everyone during the Hidden House Summit. They would make those who coveted the hidden house look at them in a different light and regret their decision. Xiaopa, the hope of the Han family rests on your shoulders. Han Tianba took a deep breath and sighed. I hope your judgment is accurate. Linny will not disappoint us. Dang, dang, dang. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Han Tianba was slightly stunned. Who would come to visit at this time? It was the wee hours of the morning, so theoretically, no one should have come. However, Han Tianba did not dare to neglect it. He got up and went to the door, asking, Who is it? Grandpa, it's me, Xiaopa and Boss. Han Xiaopa said. Hearing that it was Han Xiaopa and Lin Yi, Han Tianba hurriedly opened the door and said, Mr. Lin, Xiaopa, why are you looking for me at this time? Grandpa, what do you think of my current strength? Han Xiaopa was a young man after all. When he saw Han Tianba, he was a little impatient. Han Tianba was not Lin Yi. He did not have the golden finger that could tell someone's strength at a glance, so he was slightly stunned. He could not see anything special about Han Xiaopa. Xiaopa, what is your current strength? Grandpa, please take a look. Han Xiaopa chuckled and began to circulate his inner force. Although Han Tianba was prepared for Han Xiaopa to activate his inner force as soon as he saw Han Xiaopa, he knew that Han Xiaopa's strength would increase. After all, as long as one was a cultivator, their strength would increase regardless of their aptitude. But how much could one improve in one night? It was only because of the pill, so Han Tianba did not pay much attention to it. With Linny beside him, he could not say much. He only smiled at Han Xiaopa. But when Han Xiaopa started to circulate his inner force, Han Tianba's expression changed from indifference to shock. He looked at his grandson in disbelief. Yes, unbelievable. Han Tianba thought that he was still in a dream. Early Earth class. Han Xiaopa's strength was actually early Earth class. Han Tianba did not think that Han Xiaopa could become an Earth class master overnight. Not to mention a small qi gathering pill. Even if there were 10, it was hard to say whether or not Han Xiaopa could become an early Earth class. How big of a leap was this? But, Xiaopa, you're early Earth class. Han Tianba was the head of the house after all. He quickly realized that he was not dreaming. The truth was right in front of him. He could clearly feel Han Xiaopa's strength. Yes, Grandpa. Han Xiaopa nodded proudly. This is all thanks to Boss. This, Mr. Lin, I did not expect you to be so powerful. This old man, thank you. Han Tianba was pleasantly surprised. He bowed to Lin Yi. The Han family had one more Earth class master. This was the best thing in the world, especially before the Hidden House Summit. This was something to be excited about. It's nothing. I am an alchemist, Lin Yi said calmly. The things that Elder Han gave me are more than enough to make up for the value of these pills. Lin Yi was misleading Han Tianba on purpose, making him think that he had given Han Xiaopa a lot of elixirs to increase his strength, and that the little qi gathering pill was the final nail in the coffin. How is it, Grandpa? Boss is amazing, right? Han Xiaopa said proudly. Amazing. Old man Han laughed heartily. If that's the case, then we should have a chance of winning the duel. Although the Hidden Han family gave Lin Yi a lot of things, adding them up was more than the pills that could increase Han Xiaopa's strength from Golden Class mid-phase to Mystic Class late-phase peak. There was a saying that there was no market for it. Although the pills were not as valuable as the colored steel and the Qi Gathering pill, you couldn't buy them. Whether it was the Sky Elixir sect, the Hidden House of You, or the Hidden Houses and ancient sects with alchemists, none of them would sell the Hidden Han family pills to you. They wouldn't even sell the most common spirit gathering pill to you. No matter how much money you had, it was useless. People were trying to stop the Hidden Han family's development. These pills that could increase one's strength were naturally not something that could be exchanged for money. The materials for the colored steel and the Qi Gathering pill were precious, but to be honest, they were useless to the Hidden Han family. It would be a disaster if people found out about it. They might as well give them to Lin Yi. If the Hidden Han family was done for, then they wouldn't be able to keep anything good. Chapter 2074. That's great. Han Tianba nodded excitedly. By the way, Xiaopa, why are you looking for me now? Is there anything important? Grandpa, Boss asked me to choose a martial technique. Han Xiaopa said. Grandpa, please bring us to the library. All right, We'll go now. Mr. Lin can give you some advice on what kind of martial technique is best. Han Tianba nodded. Han Tianba didn't mind letting Lin Yi have a look at the good stuff in the treasury. He could tell that Lin Yi wasn't a greedy person, other than the colored steel, which Lin Yi wanted. Lin Yi didn't ask for anything else. The only materials for the qi-gathering pill were given to him by the Hidden House Han. Lin Yi, naturally, was interested in the Hidden House Han's treasury. It wasn't the treasures, but the manuals. The Hidden House Han had found an ancient ruin, and there might be some special manuals in there. For example, Feng Nitian, Zhang Naipeo. It seemed that every ancient sect had an extremely powerful practitioner's arts in their ruins. Lin Yi wanted to see if the Hidden House Han had something like that as well. The three of them arrived at the treasury together. There were 2 doors here. One was where the treasures were stored, and the other was naturally the scripture pavilion. This place stored the original copies of the mental cultivation techniques and martial techniques that the Han clan had discovered in the ancient ruins. Mr. Lin, this is the treasury, and that's the scripture library. Where should we go first? Han Tianba asked. Let's go straight to the scripture library. Lin Yi didn't need any other treasures, but he was looking forward to the scripture library. All right. Han Tianba nodded approvingly. It seemed that his guess was right. Lin Yi wasn't a greedy person. He wouldn't ask for an endless amount of things. He took out the key, passed the password and fingerprint verification, and opened the scripture library. However, upon entering, Lin Yi was very disappointed. In Lin Yi's mind, the scripture library was at least like a bookstore. There were many bookshelves filled with all sorts of practitioners' arts and martial techniques. What he saw now was a stone table with a few boxes on it. There were less than 10 of them. This is the scripture library? Lin Yi looked at the room in shock, speechless. Mr. Lin, this is the Hidden House of Han's scripture depository. It is simple and crude, and there are very few secret manuals. Our Hidden House of Han's resources are too scarce. Han Tianba smiled bitterly. These are the secret manuals of an entire sect. They are all here. A sect only has these few manuals? Lin Yi was shocked. The real big sects are very strict when it comes to accepting disciples. If you don't have the right physique and aptitude, you won't be able to enter these ancient sects to train. Moreover, these ancient sects don't have many cultivation methods and martial skills, so it's normal. Han Tianba explained. Oh. Lin Yi, on the other hand, nodded as he thought about the ice palace. Everyone practiced an ice practitioner's arts, and their techniques were probably similar as well. Inner disciples weren't randomly accepted, either, so it was probably similar to the sects from the ancient ruins. However, Lin Yi was a little confused. Do the other hidden houses have so little cultivation materials? Not really. Han Tianba shook his head. Our hidden Han family's cultivation methods and martial techniques all come from the ancient ruins. The other hidden houses, on the other hand, get most of them from trading or buying. Some of them are copied from the ancient sects and ancient families that they're on good terms with. These hidden houses have much more history and resources than us. I see. Lin Yi nodded. It must have been hard on you guys to be able to train so well with just these few arts and techniques. Although there's the effect of the medicine, it's all thanks to your hard work. Maybe the heavens are blessing us to hide our Han family's bloodline and physique. It's perfect for us to cultivate the Heart Sutra in the ancient ruins. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do anything with these treasures. Han Tianba said. Moreover, how many Heart Sutras do we have? There's only one. Among these books, there's only one cultivation method. The rest are all martial techniques. Han Tianba's answer impressed Lin Yi even more. Only one cultivation method, and these people were still able to train in it. It was enough to show how lucky the hidden Han family was. If I'm not wrong, Xiaopo's cultivation method should be of the wood element, right? Lin Yi said. Yes, it is of the wood element. Han Tianba nodded. What martial technique does Elder Han train in? Lin Yi asked. I'm ashamed. This old man trains in a very common wood element martial technique called firewood chopping art. Han Tianba said, this is the simplest of all the martial techniques, but even so, this old man can only use the first 2 forms. I can't use the rest. Oh? Lin Yi was startled. Han Tianba was a mid-earth class master, the same as the black-clothed man who attacked Su Shihan. In theory, Han Tianba could use at least 3 forms, and the black-clothed man could use the 4th form. There's no one to guide me. This old man has to rely on himself. Plus, I'm not very talented, so, Han Tianba said with some shame. Linny nodded. Linny knew this feeling very well. If it wasn't for the support martial technique and Faubert's guidance, his raging fire fist wouldn't have had much success, let alone fighting against the black-clothed man. Let me see these martial techniques. Linny walked over and looked at the names of the martial techniques on the wooden boxes. This is the martial technique we train in, called Wood Spirit Technique. Han Tianba pointed to the wooden box on the side and said, and from this second box onwards are the martial techniques. According to the strength of the martial techniques, they are arranged from left to right. This second box is the weakest, and it's also the one I train in firewood chopping art. At this point, Han Tianba sighed in shame. Even without the guidance of a master, he can still train in martial techniques. Elder Han, there's no need to belittle yourself, Linny said with a wave of his hand. Haha, Mr. Lin is too kind, Han Tianba said. According to Mr. Lin, which martial technique should Han Xiaopa train in? Chapter 2075. Lin Yi practiced the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. Could he also practice other skills besides the frenzy fist? Would he be a genius like the frenzy fire fist? Lin Yi was looking forward to it. Since it was an all-purpose skill, learning other skills should be a piece of cake. If Lin Yi could practice it himself, he could personally teach Han Xiaopa so he wouldn't have to take the wrong path. Of course, if Lin Yi couldn't practice this skill, then he probably couldn't practice the lowest level, chopping firewood. After all, this was a wood-based skill, and Lin Yi had practiced a fire-based skill before. Although Lin Yi didn't know what type of skill the art of dragon mastery belonged to, if he could practice a fire-based skill, then it should be a fire-based skill. However, he couldn't rule out the possibility of accidents. After all, the art of dragon mastery was known as an all-purpose skill. It couldn't be measured by common sense. This last one isn't a skill. Han Tianba smiled bitterly when he saw Lin Yi pointing at the last box. Not a skill? Then what is it? Lin Yi was taken aback. This is a book related to blacksmithing, Han Tianba said. However, I heard that blacksmithing was a profession from the ancient times. It's extinct now. Blacksmithing? Lin Yi's eyes twitched. This hidden Han family really had a lot of good stuff. They even had a book on blacksmithing? That's right. This is also the most precious book that we've found in the ancient remnant. However, with this old man's aptitude, I'm still unable to understand it. Furthermore, I don't possess the physique and abilities mentioned in the book. Can I have a look? Lin Yi asked, tempted. Of course, Mr. Lin, you can read any of the books here, Han Tianba said without hesitation. However, I'm afraid that the blacksmith's book won't be of much use. It is said that one must cultivate 2 elements at the same time. Only those who cultivate 2 elements at the same time can learn it. Oh. Lin Yi slowly opened the last wooden box. A thread-bound ancient book came into view. On the cover, the words "Incomplete Scroll of the Art of Mending" were written. Lin Yi carefully took out the ancient book and flipped through it. Sure enough, there was an introduction to this ancient book at the beginning of the scroll. This was indeed a book related to blacksmiths, but it wasn't meant for blacksmiths to use. According to the introduction, blacksmiths had to cultivate metal, wood, and fire at the same time in order to become blacksmiths. The profession introduced in this book was not blacksmithing, but rather, it had the same origin as blacksmithing. It was called tool mender. As long as a tool mender cultivated both metalwood and metal mental cultivation methods at the same time, it would be enough. The so-called mending master was someone who couldn't forge their own divine weapons, but they could repair damaged divine weapons. For example, a 3rd-grade cauldron damaged during alchemy, an ancient weapon damaged during a war, and so on. They could all be repaired using the method taught in this book. Of course, tool menders were the same as alchemists. They were also divided into 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and even higher. However, the reason why this incomplete scroll of the art of mending was called an incomplete scroll was because it only mentioned the repair methods of first grade to third grade magical weapons. As for third grade magical weapons and above, it didn't mention anything. It was not that there was no such method, it was just that this book didn't mention it. Similar to alchemists, toolmenders also consumed a lot of true chi and physical strength. Moreover, it was very difficult to cultivate two mental cultivation methods at the same time. Let's not talk about whether or not one could successfully cultivate it. Even if one succeeded, it might not be possible to cultivate both mental cultivation methods to a certain level. Moreover, even if one cultivated to a certain level, there was still the risk of going berserk. Therefore, even in ancient times, the status of toolmender and toolmender was very respected. They were both positions that could only be held by geniuses. If he couldn't practice alchemy, could he be a toolmender? Lin Yi was somewhat interested in the incomplete scroll of the art of mending. However, Lin Yi had never seen any magical weapons. He hadn't even seen a third-grade medicinal cauldron. Would it be a waste of time to learn the art of mending? In any case, since Lin Yi saw it and was interested, he wouldn't let it go easily. So, he said, Elder Han, I wonder if I can make a copy? Haha, of course, no problem. Han Tianba said, you can make a copy and keep the copy. You can even take the original. That's not necessary. No matter how thick-skinned Lin Yi was, he wouldn't steal the original. Besides, there was no difference between the original and the copy. However, he wasn't in a hurry to make a copy. The most important thing now was to help Han Xiaopa choose a set of martial arts. So, Lin Yi pointed to the second-last box and said, since that's related to tool casting, how about this one? This? Han Tianba's face was slightly awkward, but he still said, this? I'm afraid not. This one also won't work? Lin Yi was stunned. Is this not a martial arts skill, but something else? This is a martial arts skill, but it's not a normal martial arts skill. Han Tianba nodded. He had seen everything in the library once, so he understood every single one of them. Not a normal martial arts skill? Lin Yi asked curiously, what do you mean by not normal? Although this is the highest level martial arts skill in the ancient ruins, it's a support-type martial arts skill. Han Tianba said. A support-type martial arts skill? Lin Yi suddenly thought of the omnipotent martial arts skill that went with the art of dragon mastery. Was it a support-type martial arts skill? Could it be that the hidden Han family had something similar? Yes, according to this old man's research, this is a replenishment-type martial arts skill. It can replenish energy and true chi for the people around you, but it completely consumes the user's strength and true chi. It can be said to be a martial arts skill that burns oneself to illuminate others. Han Tianba said, although this martial arts skill can play a big role in a critical moment, it is useless during normal battles. Who would have nothing better to do to cultivate a martial arts skill that sacrifices themselves to help others? Unless it's a big ancient sect that trained a group of disciples who specialized in sacrificing their true chi to help their teammates when fighting against other sects. Chapter 2076. Recover? They've been cultivating for decades just for one burst of power. It's going to take a long time for them to recover. Han Tianba smiled bitterly. Moreover, these disciples are getting old. It's hard to say whether they'll be able to cultivate as fast as they used to. To put it bluntly, many disciples who used this technique died on the spot due to overexertion of their physical strength. Lin Yi sighed. This was a strange skill, but if it were a big sect, they'd raise a group of loyal loyalists to the sect. These people could be used in critical moments against other core disciples when their own side was exhausted. They'd be able to turn defeat into victory at the cost of their own lives. However, Lin Yi was wondering if he could use the energy in the Jade Space to replenish his energy after the battle. Elder Han, I'd like to make a copy of this technique, Lin Yi said. Oh? Mr. Lin is interested in such a useless technique? Han Tianba was taken aback, but he did not object. If Mr. Lin is willing to study it, feel free to make a copy. But as for cultivating it, forget it. I don't think this technique has much use. I'm just studying it, Lin Yi said. That's good. I'll make a copy for Mr. Lin later, as well as the incomplete scroll on the way of artifact mending. Han Tianba said, Thank you very much. Linny nodded. The third last box should be a normal technique, right? Of course it is. Han Tianba nodded. This technique is also the most powerful one out of all of them. It's called 1,000 Transformations of the Forest of Wood. 1,000 Transformations of the Forest of Wood? Linny heard the name of the technique and was confused. What kind of technique is this? Forest of Wood. Literally, it means more and more. Han Tianba said. The higher the level of this technique, the more powerful it becomes. But the first few techniques are just the basics. Oh, what do you mean? Linny asked. The first form of the 1,000 Transformations of the Woods only increases the power of the fist, but the second form can transform one fist into two fists, one real and one fake, making it difficult for the opponent to distinguish which fist is the real one. The same goes for the third form, which can transform into three fists, all the way to the 10th form, which can transform into 10 fists. From the 11th form onwards, it's not just the fist, but the entire person. One person can turn into two people. The 12th form can turn into two people, and so on. Han Tianba explained, this martial skill is quite powerful. Linny nodded. Based on the name, this martial skill might be slightly weaker in terms of power. However, after learning it, it could be used to launch a surprise attack on the enemy, achieving the goal of a sneak attack. Yes, but although it's powerful, it's extremely difficult to practice. After looking at it once, this old man can't understand it. Han Tianba said, Xiaopa, I'm afraid it'll be a bit difficult for you to practice this martial skill, right? Yes, boss, with my aptitude. This martial skill, without someone to guide me, I don't think I'll be able to learn it in my lifetime. Han Xiaopa knew his own limits, so he didn't try to be arrogant. This martial skill 1,000 Transformations of the Woods and the firewood chopping skill. Make a copy of both and try to practice them. Linny said, whichever one can practice it, we'll practice it. Okay. Han Xiaopa nodded. We'll listen to boss. The three of them didn't hesitate. Each of them took a pen, ink, paper, and inkstone and began to make copies. The 4 secret manuals were quickly copied. After keeping the 2 that Linny wanted, he took the other 2 and returned to Lin Yi's residence with Han Xiaopa. You should study this firewood chopping skill first. Since Elder Han has practiced it, he should have practiced it in front of the younger generation, right? Linny asked. Yes, every year during the new year, Grandpa would show it to us to motivate us to practice harder. Han Xiaopa nodded. Okay, you try to practice it first. I'll study this 1,000 Transformations of the Woods. Linny said. Yes, boss. Han Xiaopa didn't even think that he would be able to activate the martial arts technique on this one day. After all, after his grandfather entered the Earth rank, it took him almost 2 years to activate the first style of the firewood cutting skill. After making arrangements for Han Xiaopa, Lin Yi picked up the mantra of the 1,000 Transformations of the Woods and studied it. After reading it a few times, Lin Yi understood the meaning of the words. Now it was time to see if he could use it. He walked out of the room and came to the courtyard. In the hidden Han Manor, the guest room also had its own courtyard. It was convenient for Lin Yi to use it. In his mind, he silently recited the mantra of the first move of the 1,000 Transformations of the Woods. Lin Yi began to use the first move according to the mantra. Lin Yi punched out, almost in one breath, without the slightest bit of hesitation or jerkiness. Boom! Lin Yi's fist smashed into the wall of the courtyard, and the wall collapsed. The power of the first move surprised Lin Yi. It was not inferior to the frenzy fist. Was it because he was familiar with it, or because this martial skill was originally a superior martial skill? Of course, what made Lin Yi even more excited was that his previous guess was confirmed. The martial skill he found in the cave was indeed the same as the art of dragon mastery. It was an all-purpose martial skill. In other words, as long as he cultivated the all-purpose martial skill, he could cultivate any other martial skill to the fullest. The wood attribute martial skill was as smooth as the fire attribute martial skill. It was as if he had used it thousands of times. The loud sound of the wall collapsing was naturally heard by Han Xiaopa. He quickly ran out of the room and asked in surprise, Boss, what happened? Nothing. The power of the 1,000 Transformations of the Woods is not small. Linny said, originally. I thought this martial skill was only used to confuse people, but I didn't expect it to be so. Oh? Han Xiaopa's eyes widened in surprise. Boss, you've already activated it. Only the first move. Linny said. The first move. In such a short time, you can activate the first move. Boss, you're really a genius. Han Xiaopa was full of admiration. What was a genius? Lin Yi was a genius. Chapter 2077. Genius. Lin Yi didn't deny it. He thought to himself, you haven't seen the real genius. He lives right next to me. Yes, he's a genius. Han Xiaopa nodded and said excitedly, Boss, are you also a wood element cultivator? Hee hee. Lin Yi smiled and didn't answer. Lin Yi didn't know what element he was cultivating because the first two levels of the Art of Dragon Mastery didn't mention which element it belonged to. However, Zhao Yazi did mention that it was a universal technique. Could it be a universal element? Boss, can I cultivate the 1,000 transformations of wood forest? Han Xiaopa asked expectantly. It shouldn't be a big problem, Lin Yi said. I'll study it a bit more. Okay, boss, study it, Han Xiaopa said. Lin Yi nodded and began to recall the second, third, and fourth forms of the technique in his mind. He also simulated the moves and activation method of the technique in his mind. After familiarizing himself with it, Lin Yi tried again. 1,000 transformations of wood forest, second form. Lin Yi punched out, but the fist seemed to split into two. Lin Yi's target this time was another wall. Boom, boom. This time, there were two loud noises from the wall. Another wall collapsed. This time, however, the power of the punch was much stronger than before. What surprised Lin Yi even more was that the second form wasn't like what Han Tianba had said, where one punch was real and the other was fake to confuse the opponent. There were two punches, and both were real. The two loud noises were the evidence. The area of the collapsed wall was much wider than before. In other words, the two punches were real, but Lin Yi only punched out once. Thinking of this, Lin Yi excitedly began to ponder over the third style. Han Xiaopa, on the other hand, was staring at the collapsed wall not far from Lin Yi with a petrified expression. It wasn't that he felt sorry for the wall. If it were him, he would rather tear down the entire courtyard, as long as he could land two punches like Lin Yi. The third style. Lin Yi once again successfully activated the third style of the Wood Forest 1,000 transformations. Boom, boom, boom. This time, there were 3 loud bangs, and the other wall of the courtyard was also turned into ruins. At this point, other than the front gate of the courtyard, the walls on the left, back, and right were all destroyed by Lin Yi. Furthermore, the destructive power of each attack was greater than the previous one. The loud bangs in the courtyard had already attracted the attention of the other people hidden in the Han family. However, these people knew that this was Lin Yi's residence, so they didn't dare to go forward and investigate. They only quickly notified Grandfather Han. With Grandfather Han's status, he could come over to see what was going on out of curiosity. However, when he approached the courtyard, Lin Yi just happened to activate the 4th style of the Wood Forest 1,000 transformations. Boom, 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 boom. For loud bangs sounded, but this time Lin Yi didn't hit his target, and all 4 punches hit air. Even so, it was still 4 loud bangs that tore through the air. As for the 5th style, Lin Yi didn't try to practice it. Lin Yi hadn't even practiced the 5th style of the Frenzied Fire Fist. Studying the Wood Forest 1,000 transformations didn't have much of a chance of success. Moreover, Lin Yi mainly wanted to study it on his own before teaching it to Han Xiaopa. Han Tianba looked at Lin Yi, who was not far away, with a face full of shock. What kind of technique was this? With Han Tianba's eyesight, he could naturally see that this wasn't the firewood chopping skill. Since it wasn't, could it be the Wood Forest 1,000 transformations? However, in such a short period of time, how could Lin Yi learn the Wood Forest 1,000 transformations? Moreover, this was a wood-based martial art. Was Lin Yi a wood-based cultivator? With a stomach full of questions, Han Tianba didn't want to disturb Lin Yi. This was because he saw Lin Yi's body move again. The Wood Forest 1,000 transformations 1st style, 2nd style, 3rd style, 4th style. Boom, 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 boom. His movements were as smooth as flowing water. It was only 4 punches, but they brought with them a power that could only be achieved by 10 punches. This martial art was not ordinary. Phew. Lin Yi took a deep breath. This martial art was not ordinary. Although it looked like 4 punches, the amount of stamina consumed was not an ordinary amount. After practicing it twice, Lin Yi's stamina was already showing signs of drying up. He was so tired that he was sweating profusely. He couldn't muster up any more strength. Of course, although activating martial skills also consumed physical strength, the consumption in this situation was different from the consumption of true energy in alchemy. This kind of consumption could be replenished through rest, unlike the pure energy consumption of alchemy. With Lin Yi's stamina, he was already exhausted after using the Wood Forest Thousand transformations twice. If it were a normal person, they would probably only be able to use it once. But then again, for a peak early Earth class expert, it was already not bad to be able to use 2 styles. Without the 3rd and 4th style, it wouldn't consume such a terrifying amount of stamina. Boss, how are you? Han Xiaopa saw that Lin Yi's face was a little pale, so he quickly asked, It's nothing, just a little tired. Lin Yi waved his hand. This kind of stamina consumption could be replenished in the jade space for a while. That's good. Han Xiaopa breathed a sigh of relief. He was most afraid that something would happen to Lin Yi. If something happened to Lin Yi, then what would happen to the Hidden House Summit tomorrow? I'll rest for a while. Lin Yi didn't say anything else. He sat on the stone bench in the courtyard, closed his eyes, and entered the jade space to recover his stamina. Han Tianba, who was watching from afar, saw that Lin Yi had sat down to rest, so he carefully walked over. Grandpa! Han Xiaopa was originally sitting on the stone bench with Lin Yi. When he saw that Han Tianba had arrived, he quickly stood up to greet him. Xiaopa, Mr. Lin. Han Tianba carefully looked at Lin Yi. Boss is tired. He's resting for a while. Han Xiaopa said. That's good. Han Tianba nodded, feeling relieved. Just now, the martial art that Mr. Lin used, was it the Wood Forest Thousand transformations? It should be. Boss has been studying that martial art all this time. Han Xiaopa nodded. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.